It is Dom time. Breaking story. Another day in Philadelphia. Wild mobs threatening Jewish businesses like it's a pogrom, like we're back on Kristallnacht. ATV maniacs going through a nice holiday party, and police look like, well, it's just part of the business. Let them do it. Just let them do it. And stabbings over at Macy's, right across from City Hall and right across from Larry Krasner. Can't blame guns this time, can you, Larry? What are the odds people stabbing each other and killing one inside of Macy's have criminal records? In a moment, I'll play you KYW. They beat everyone, our sister station, to this breaking news story at about 11 a.m. today. 3 stabbed inside or on and about Macy's in Center City. This is right in the heart of the city. Yeah, Dom, your point. It's dystopia. But first, I just wanted to thank our listeners, Scott Presler, and we'll talk about Time Magazine released their short list for Person of the Year. Dan and I were talking to have several, at least 3 nominees locally. You know, we'll put out a national one. You know, I'm not as interested. You know what I like? I like where we actually have impact. So if you say Elon Musk, that'll be on the national list. I'll give you some of the locals, though, that we have in mind in a moment. But Sam Oropesa hosted us, and I'll play a couple of listeners, one who came from Bucks County, the other from Newcastle, Delaware, to see Scott Presler, to take the training and be inspired by a guy who it's like a stand-up comedian on top of everything. He's going to be here at 2 today, Presler. This was in Harrogate. Now, Sam says Harrogate, Dan. Others say it's Kensington. All I know is it's hell all over the place. And look, I grew up in South Philly. I've lived in Germantown. I'm not from the main line. And when I was traveling there, finding 1810 Venango Street, Dan, defies at certain points.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, you go 2 blocks, it's cut off, and directions are taking you, and I'm saying, Pelianthorpe. I see that in the news. Marshall Street. Oh, no, that's where Gary Heidnick tortured people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all these streets go through your mind. But Sam Oropesa, who these rotten Republicans in charge did not run for an at-large seat. That guy's got incredible charisma, street cred, name. He's out there doing stuff.
Put you in a headlock?
He asked in front of people when I come in the door, Dan, after he gave me a parking space, which I'll explain. He said, Don, we're not going to have any trouble in here today. And I said, well, that depends on how you act. You know,
everyone else is probably like, what is going on here? Yeah. These 2 hate each other or what?
Imagine this guy. Dan, he looks very thin, which is frightening. I mean, there's not an ounce of fat on him, and he's lean muscle beyond belief. So he said a secure parking lot. Yes, it is secure. It has a portal, a gate there in Harrogate, and it has a roll up, the riot gate type of stuff that you see in prisons. They roll it up and down to let the cars in. So I pull in, he sees me, and he was very nice. There was a space open right in front. I didn't have to go into that. He knew I had to leave. They take these giant, these ones were orange. The barriers you put in to block stuff, like if you were trying to stop a truck or something.
Yeah.
They push 2 or 3 and then push it back. They put my thing in and they push it next to my car. So that nobody
they're
will
really
bother.
going overboard, huh?
Yes. And then there was this guy, Reese, there, who was more frightening than Sam Oropesa. He is their security guy.
They found someone more frightening?
Well, seemed to beat everybody. And he walks up and down the area scrutinizing your car. Now, you know this. You've been in Port Richmond, but I mean, going across that area of the city, I hate those streets with the alphabet. Every one of them looks to me like mayhem at any point.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and West Erie Avenue.
Once you get to the letters, you know you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, it's like you make a U-turn, get out of the letters.
Yeah.
The letters are no good, you know? God, and that's not even, I did cross over Kensington Avenue to get to Venango, but it seemed like I was high up away from where I think the center of the action
So when you
is.
said he was criticizing your cars, was he like checking to make sure there wasn't anything that could look like it'd be stolen? Is that what you're saying? Or
criticizing?
Well, you said he was there, the guy that was bigger than Sam Oropesa and more intimidating was there looking at the cars. Didn't know what you meant by that.
Oh, no, he was just making sure nobody would come up and touch anything.
Got you.
Yeah.
He's playing guard, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing guard. So they did have a secure lot, but that's what it takes in that area. And these are apartments. We were in the bottom level, I think. Nice apartments. I don't know. Maybe this is going to be the new area that people are going to move into. My God. All I saw on those streets, guys with cars taken apart in motor oil running down streets. That's my image from those areas.
Yeah, there's a lot of roadside mechanic work going on.
That's
in
exactly
the
what I'm
Kensington
saying.
area.
Yeah, exactly. So here are a couple of listeners now on Saturday who came all the way. One woman raised her hand. Well, I'm going to be knocking on doors in Montgomery County. Is 2 to 5 a good time and all? And she came all the way over to Kensington. Here's two of our listeners. One guy from Bucks County, the other Newcastle. Here's what they told me. Where are you guys from?
I'm from Mercer County, New Jersey,
Okay.
and he's from Bucks County.
And why come out here? What was it like coming to this, shall we say, hellscape here at the border of Kensington?
Well, Scott Presser, I follow him along with some other good
Right.
conservatives. Scott's, in my opinion, the MVP of the RNC, and he doesn't even work for him. Okay.
Right.
He put on an event in New Jersey last year for us. So 100% support for Scott. He's a hard worker, and what he's saying makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. From Bucks County.
Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, hi. Why come all the way here?
Just to get more involved, to learn how to make phone calls, get the
Right.
vote out, and get on board with getting these ballots in, so we aren't behind the eight ball with a head start.
Well, what's your sense of some of the doors that'll be knocked on here today? I'm billing it the first time a conservative or Republican has ever knocked on these doors in the last 60 years.
Yeah, it's going to be different, that's for sure.
What's your anticipation?
Well, we're going to head back to our area.
There's a lot of things.
I'm out of here. See ya.
That's what I heard the woman from Montgomery County. You have the master of doing this. Take it back to Bucks County where there might be a more reasonable shot.
Exactly right.
Nice meeting you guys.
Nice
Thank you
meeting
for
you.
coming back here.
Have a great day.
And these trolls on Twitter, Dan, going, oh, yeah, when you guys are over there in Kensington doing that, we're rolling up the score. We know what we're doing. Well, guess what? Two things. Scott Presler has an app set up, Dan, Early Vote Action. Early Vote Action. And you can get it Apple, Google. And what this does is it allows you anywhere to be prompting and encouraging people to fill in their mail-in ballot or to get a mail-in ballot and to move forward. Some of this is not wagon trains and dinosaurs. Why is this guy not given the money and the resources to move forward is the question. So Time Magazine, I'll give you in a second here, has their short list out for their Man of the Year, Person of the Year. Now, this used to be a big deal when they announced it. Time has gone so downhill, though, by their nonsense. But we have 3 on our short list so far. You can always suggest another one for our local Person of the Year, not national. You can suggest a national one. That's a separate list. Here locally, Robin Schaefer, the Whales, the Jersey Shore, Stopping Big Wind, Scott Presler, just a star. I mean, the guy's just got it all in person. And Mark Houck. Mark Houck is going to be on the show today at 1:30. Mark is suing in a civil action now the federal government for the weaponization of the DOJ, FBI, et cetera, against him. And as I said, he'll be here at 1:30 today. I kind of forgot about his case in 2023. It's a big one. But if you have any other suggestions, those are the 3 that are on my mind. Once we get 4 or 5 of them, we'll put them out. Now, Dan, listen to Time Magazine. Is this a worthy Person of the Year? The Hollywood Strikers. Really? The Hollywood Strikers?
Is that really their name?
Yep.
That's what they're calling them now?
Yep.
Ugh.
The Chinese dictator, Taylor Swift, Sam Altman, he's a major AI guy, the Trump prosecutors.
Oh, really? Come
Yeah,
on, get
really,
out of
really,
here.
really. By the way, on that note, in a second, the Liz Cheney book is out. I'm going to give you an excerpt from it that is just sickening from the father and from Liz Cheney. It's
Every
hard to believe.
Sunday, me and Maisie watch CBS Sunday Morning, and they led off with a Liz Cheney, kissing her butt, and I just had to fast forward it. And the entire time I was like, Trump made fun of my father. I don't like him. I'm going to take it out on it. It's so redundant at this point.
I got to stop this, though. Thank you for putting this. This is even more severe now, Dan, of what's going on in this dystopia, right? And I'm serious, this clown Kenny, right? Somebody's got to say, here's a bag of money. Would people agree with me? Make Sherelle Parker the mayor now. Dan, Steve Keeley jumping in on the story, even though he's not even on duty yet. He's later at night now. What does he report? The 3 people stabbed, 1 dead inside Macy's or on and about Macy's, right across from Larry Krasner's office. Who were they?
Yeah, so he reports 3 loss prevention employees in Macy's across the street from Philadelphia City Hall was stabbed. One of them has died from stab wounds. Police converged on the store as the 3 workers were rushed to Jefferson Hospital. Again, Steve Keeley reporting that the 3 that were stabbed were loss prevention employees.
First of all, that they need a trio of loss prevention employees. My God, this guy, if they have a family, these are guys doing their job. They're just not letting them rob Larry. The whole thing brings it all home, even with all the other great stuff I have today, of what is wrong with this city. At the core, the Krasners, the progressive maniacs bothering people at Jewish restaurants last night and out setting off smoke bombs, the failure of the police to do anything with the ATVs. So Dan, my sense is this is the classic situation where maybe these are some homeless sent into Macy's to steal by these various rings, etc. They're confronted and they stab. Now, why couldn't these loss prevention people be armed? Why couldn't they be armed? And when this clown pulls out a knife, shoot him right there. Oh my God, look at what you're calling. Okay, what's the other alternative? Just let them steal everything in the store? Well, call the police. Oh yeah. Call Larry Krasner. Man, this is, even for Philadelphia, Dan, what's the Inquirer spin going to be? Hey, Philadelphia Inquirer, what's the spin going to be? Are you going to lecture us on gun violence? Or are you going to say, well, there's a lot of gun violence? No. This is a stabbing. 3 loss prevention agents stabbed, 1 dead. For what? By whom? And the person that stabbed doesn't have a long criminal record, I bet. Have they captured the person that stabbed, or we don't know yet, Dan?
I'm looking into it now, and Philadelphia Inquirer has nothing about it yet,
God.
unsurprisingly.
Yeah, we only got 500 people over here. Let's play a little bit of what KYW said about this. They had a heck of a report, and then Keeley jumps in and tells us the identity of these people. Here's what they reported.
Denise, we were just leaving the Criminal Justice Center, the CJC, the courthouse, and walked over, and then all of a sudden there was a lot of commotion out here on Market Street, right by 13th Street. You have 2 fire trucks, a bunch of police cars. Talked to one of the police officers who say that there is 1 person who is dead now who is just inside this Macy's entrance. You can hear that Christmas music in the background. That's really the feeling around Macy's. But now it's turned into a homicide investigation. There are 2 other people who are also stabbed. 1 who's in critical condition. I can tell just by my watch that this happened about 11 o'clock, a little bit of after 11 o'clock. They were taken to the 1 person, they were all taken to the hospital. That's where 1 person was pronounced dead. We know that they're all males. We don't have the ages or anything, but right now police are trying to talk to some witnesses who may have seen it. Again, this is in that entrance to the Macy's that's on Market Street, right between 13th and really City Hall. And again, Denise, it's very eerie to hear this Christmas music in the background when we know that 1 person is dead here at the Macy's.
It's adjacent to the fashion district. My God, nothing at the Inquirer yet. They only have 5,000 people over there. You know what? They're sitting in the room. Well, what angle are we going to take on this? Let's see. It wasn't a gun. These were people just earning a living, trying to prevent Macy's from being robbed blind and then having to leave the city. We can't be going down that path. What's the Inquirer going to call for in this one? I'm going to call for the fact these guys should have been armed. They should have the right to bear arms, and they should have been able to protect themselves against a maniac who wounded 2 of them and killed another one. All right, I'll get to Liz Cheney. This is all the family business here today. A couple more, Dan, of the short list of Time Magazine. Trump prosecutors, Barbie. Putin, King Charles III, and Jerome Powell, the guy who made your mortgage a point higher. You personally and everybody else.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least, yeah.
Great guy. Yeah. Person of the year, definitely.
Person of
yeah.
the year.
Yeah, up there with those Hollywood. What do they call them? Hollywood.
Yeah,
writers?
Hollywood. Imagine putting the Hollywood writers. That's the short list. They'll reveal on Wednesday who the person of the year is. I can't get a read on this one of who they would go with. The Hollywood strikers. Unless they want to do a pivot on AI, that kind of thing. All right, let me give you the side question. Angelo Cataldi here at 12:30. We'll talk to Mark Houck, who has this big lawsuit. Scott Presler at 2. And I'm leaving somebody out. Oh, yes. We'll go to Israel. Matt Zucker, former PD at WWDB, reporting there on a lot of stuff happening. All right. Side question. Thanks. Tip of the hat to Jim on this one. And we changed it a little bit. Rocky Day yesterday in the city. We want that all-time sports film quote, even if you don't have it word by word. Think of how many sports films are out there. Tremendous number. So I'm going to take off the board, Dan. Yo, Adrian. And let's see. Why did I write Jimmy? I'll make it. Oh, yeah. One of my favorite lines in Hoosiers. Gene Hackman suddenly says, all right, we're going to trick him. Everybody thinks Jimmy's going to shoot the last shot. We're going to fake that. And they all go, are you crazy? Jimmy's going to shoot the last shot. And Jimmy goes, I'll make it, which he does. You can't have Hoosiers without Jimmy shooting the last shot. My God. They're going to give it to the kid who couldn't reach the rim on the foul shot. That'll fake him out. No, we're not doing that. Yo, Adrian, though, definitely. Dan, how about yours?
So I watched this movie for the first time as an adult. I've seen it plenty of times when I was a kid, but I never really got the message of it. I just like seeing the old ball players show up in the middle of Iowa. But if you build it, he will come. Field of Dreams. Just the meaning of the quote itself, speaking about the father and, know, building it for Shoeless Joe. And then just it's such a great film and a great quote. And the entire film's built around that one quote. If you build it, he will come.
It's the best of the era of baseball, the nostalgia, which used to be the game, replaced by football. All right, 855-839-1210. We'll keep you on what's happening with this Macy's. We're trying to hook up with Steve Keeley, but that's where we are now. Give us that all-time sports film lines, the lines. And don't feel you need it word by word, okay? You can ad-lib a little bit on it. I'm not going to take off the boards my favorite sports film, or a couple of sports films. I have 2 of them that are Hoosiers is one. It's right
great
up there.
film.
Oh,
it's just not accurate at all. I mean, the entire story.
No? Indiana?
No, the coach was like a 25-year-old kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the team, like, he was strategy. It wasn't like some old forlorn, like, a basketball coach coming back and getting the glory and all that.
Yeah,
That's
but
all.
they're trying to make like Gene Hackman's only 30, and I know that's a stretch.
Yeah,
He's like 70.
Guy,
But they used to do that stuff. All right, 855-839-1210. Get in with Dom and Dan, and Earl of Tacony in studio here today. A little bit later on, we'll get his take on the side question here on Talk Radio 1210. Okay, it is Dom Giordano's show. Before I take a call, this outrageous, and I got an insight on this that I think you're not going to hear anywhere else. So I'm looking at this mob, and these mobs led by these Palestinian women, which is curious constantly. They go over to Goldie's, which is part of a chain restaurant of this master chef who happens to be Jewish, and they were targeting it. Goldie. We'll play it. And they were either before or after at the University of Penn. We'll play it later too, where they call for an intifada, revolution, overthrowing, uprising. Where? Maybe here too. And they plop down at the townhouses out there at 40th Street. Now, they hate this because these are new homes of people wanting to move there. And they connect. This is what you have to understand about these people. They connect the displacement of people who were squatters in, at the University of Penn and these townhouses. They make a big deal out of it to the Palestinians. Here we go. You see this colonization thing, the colony stuff. Constantly, these people bring up. But Josh Shapiro is making national news, and Brendan Boyle calling them out and saying this is anti-Semitism. Well, Governor Josh, I don't forget, if the media will not report it, you're the one that endorsed Kendra Brooks. Kendra Brooks, the Working Families Party, believes the same thing as these people do. She crawls all over this. So how in the world, if you're so concerned about what they're doing to this Jewish Beard Award-winning chef with several places.
It's Michael Solomonov's
yeah.
Cooking Solos, the name of the corporation.
He's unbelievable.
Zahav's like the best. It's the best Israeli food that you could find here in the area, let alone Philadelphia.
So since they were in Center City, they start saying, where are some Jews here we can go and bother? That's exactly what it is. But Josh Shapiro doesn't want you to know he supports people like Kendra Brooks and these others. It helps him politically. This is the same ilk that they're allied with. Here's how it sounded at this Goldie's, which I hope people overwhelmingly support. And Dan, you recommend the food,
I can't recommend him enough. I have a friend, Yig, said he recommended Goldie as the best falafel in all of
What is falafel?
Falafel is chickpeas. It's fried chickpeas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's vegetarian. It's really good. It has
a
lot of flavor to it.
Fan, even though it's vegetarian. I didn't even know what hummus was.
And the thing with Goldie is it's like unlike another falafel, because you can go to a street meat cart and get falafel.
Right.
And there's a standard taste for falafel, but the amount of spices and it's just there's so many layers of flavor these falafel. I can't recommend. If you haven't had Goldie, it's a completely different experience with falafels. Go check it out. It's really good.
So they target this after they block up traffic in Center City, walking aimlessly. Everybody in the world has to be inconvenienced, wanting to do. They poke their head into several bars in Center City, Dan, telling Eagles fans, while you're watching this, bombs are raining down on Gaza.
Oh my gosh!
Can you imagine? Just
Debbie Downers over here.
Well, not only that, they want to bother Eagles. These people have been allowed to be out of control, particularly the leaders, particularly the Palestinian women leaders who go to Penn in places like this. They've been told you can do whatever the hell you want. This is a third world country, and they're acting on it, and they're going to continue to act on it. Here's how it sounded over at Goldie's.
You can't hide! We charge you with genocide!
Guys making falafel.
You can't hide! We charge you with genocide!
Thank you very much for the genocide. Let the man alone. He makes a good chickpea there. Dan, but what's the backstory?
Yeah, so the reason why they're protesting this is he has family members who are part of the IDF, and he's very obviously pro-Israel, being a Jewish individual himself. But he recently announced that he's going to donate all of his sales, 100% of all sales Thursday, that he was going to send it to, this is a while back now, but the Friends of United Hatzalah. And he's done this a couple of times now where he donates all his sales to the Friends of United Hatzalah. And what they were trying to say is, he's funding the IDF. No, this is kind of like Israel's version of the Red Cross.
Yeah.
trying to help people.
Right.
And that they're protesting the fact that he's sending funds over to aid the war in Israel. But no, he's trying to aid relief, if anything. It's completely misplaced, and it's just another example of the idiocy of these idiots.
Really, what it is, these people want to get at Jews. That's what it is. They want to get at Jews. They're targeting Jews. They're putting up maps of Jewish restaurants, etc. And don't you think the media, because they won't talk to us, they ought to talk to Kendra Brooks. How about the goofball from Seattle, Congresswoman Jayapal? I think it's appropriate to play this now. She was on with Dana yesterday on CNN, and they got into it about more stories coming out that were even more graphic about the women that were raped. Not as an outlier of people, no, but as an act. They wanted to defile them, these animals. That's what Hamas wanted to do. They set out 8 or 10 of them at a time on women to defile them. Listen to Jayapal try to blunt that and tell us, well, let's talk about this in proportion. Here's how it sounded.
Morally, I think we cannot say that one war crime deserves another. That is not what international humanitarian law says.
Okay, with respect, I was just asking about the women, and you turned it back to Israel. I'm asking you about Hamas. In fact,
I already answered your question, Dana. I said it's horrific, and I think that rape is horrific, sexual assault is horrific. I think that it happens in war situations.
Oh my God.
Terrorist organizations like Hamas obviously are using these as tools. However, I think we have to be balanced about bringing in the
Get out of here.
outrages against Palestinians.
Yeah.
15,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes, 3/4 of whom are women and children.
and it's horrible, but you don't see Israeli soldiers raping.
Well, Dana, I
Palestinian
think
women.
we're not, I don't want this to be the hierarchy of oppressions. I
Right.
think 15,000
Shouldn't
people
be.
Oh, you
have
don't.
been killed.
You do it every day.
Palestinians.
which is
And-
horrible.
My goodness here. And this is one of the, on paper, premier women's rights and the whole thing and all. So, no, it's not an outlier of war. This is their tactic. They're animals. That's exactly what it is. There is no excuse. There's no equivocating this with anything else. All right, Dan, we have another update over in Macy's.
Yep, this is the police report that I have in hand now. 1300 Market Street, inside Macy's store, 2 employees were stabbed by a black male wearing a blue coat, dark pants, black socks on one foot, and one white sneaker on the other foot.
Oh, God.
Victim 1, black male, 30 years, stabbed 1 time in the neck, transported to Jefferson, was pronounced at 11:19 a.m. Victim 2, black male, 23 years old, was stabbed in the face and 1 time in the left arm. He was transported to Jefferson, placed in stable condition. Doer ran into the subway at 13th Street and dropped his weapon on the eastbound platform. He was apprehended by SEPTA police at the Somerset station. Scenes held in the store and on the eastbound platform. Any further updates will be sent as received.
Oh, the Somerset station. One of the worst. Kensington.
It sounds like you're like, I hate that we like.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that you're right because we are just kind of, pontificating here, but it sounds very accurate, the notion of this being someone that was paid to do it. And there's a common thread that we see over and over again, that there's this criminal ring of homeless individuals that will be paid to go into stores and shoplift.
And Somerset near the drug market.
And I say that it seems like there's truth to it because everyone, it seems, has guns in Philadelphia at this point.
Yeah,
and we're talking a
exactly.
knife attack here. So who is it that can't maybe not afford a gun?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the 2 sneaks type of thing too.
The one white sneaker. Yeah.
Yeah. It gives me a clue toward this. I mean, and we're paralyzed here. A major American city by a mayor who will do nothing, an interim police chief, and an existential threat to humanity in Larry Krasner. My God, 3 of these guys stabbed. Hey, Philadelphia Inquirer. How about joining me saying, you know what? Maybe if they had been allowed to be armed, one of them wouldn't be stabbed in the neck and another in the face at this point. Maybe they would have been able to shoot him. Oh, we don't want that. That's dangerous. All right, coming up, we're going to talk with the great Angelo Cataldi. He's got that new book out. If he were still doing morning drive at WIP, Dan, what would he be saying today? I can hardly wait. Would he try to calm the fans down, say it's a one-off? Or would he go nuts? I'm voting on the nuts, given the title of the book. This is the big story in town. Are the Eagles a mirage, Or is this just one game? Well, we'll know Sunday, I think, upcoming Sunday. All right, 855-839-1210. You get on board. Hey, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. $150 if your team wins. Make your own bets. Choose from tons of pre-made bets in the app. You don't have to be a football expert to do this. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, no better time to get in on the action. I really like the FanDuel app. Easy to use, player props, spreads, over-unders, it's all there. Visit FanDuel.com/Dom. FanDuel.com/Dom. This NFL season, FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 1210 WPHT, FanDuel official partner of the NFL. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, it is Dom Giordano Show. Big issues, big guests. What a day to have on the author of Loud and the guy who drove sports here for over 30 years and still doing that with his brand new book. Angelo Cataldi with us again on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Angelo, welcome in.
Tom, it's always a pleasure, even after a horrible Eagles game.
So if you were on mornings, would you be trying to say this is a one-off, calm fans down, or would you be agitating them to go nuts today?
Well, here's the thing, all right? So I've been on this book tour, and the thing people have said to me the most, Tom, is, man, I miss you after Eagle games on the air to hear what you had to say. Well, I don't think anybody wanted to hear what I had to say this morning, because I was saying it last week. The Eagles, I said on San Francisco radio last Friday, Dom, the Eagles are the worst 10-1 team in NFL history. And the reason I said that is they can't cover the pass. And once again, after a great first quarter, they gave up 450 offensive yards, 300 and change in the air. You can't be a contender for a championship when you're ranked 30th and pass defense. They're not that good this year.
Look, I would agree. And, this idea of smarter than the room over the years, Angelo, discounting the linebacker position. I know in a
Yep.
modern game, it's not the most important, but you just can't roll guys out there and cover
Yep.
guys like McCaffrey and the others. It's not going to happen.
Exactly. And the safeties are not that good, and the cornerbacks are getting old. And it's all good quarterbacks. Even Brock Purdy, who you look at, you go, well, he's only a second-year guy. He sees the field. If a guy is back there and sees the field, he's going to find an open receiver most of the time because those guys don't cover. It's that simple.
Yeah. We're talking with Angelo Cataldi, loud, how a shy nerd came to Philadelphia and turned up the volume in the most passionate sports city in America. So you don't see them coming back from this to be able to make the Super Bowl, Angelo?
Well, it comes down to psychology now. They still have a great defensive line. They're deep and they're strong and they're tough.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to combat the weakness in the back end, you have no choice now. You have to become way more aggressive than you've been. You need to blitz more people. The reason why is because now Hassan Reddick needs single coverage. He needs an opportunity to get to the quarterback, and you've got to give the quarterback way less time. The only way you could do that is changing your philosophy and not worrying about coverage down the field because you're not covering anybody anyway. So what's the difference? Now I'm going to, instead of 5 guys, I'm going to send 6. I'm going to send 7. I'm going to leave them one-on-one, and I'm going to try to get to the quarterback. If they do that, they have a chance. If they continue this bend but don't break philosophy, they're going to get burned. They're going to lose in Dallas next Sunday, easily lose it, and they're going to lose the following week in Seattle, and then the city's in panic at 10-4.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I listen a lot, particularly when you were on. But Angelo, I noticed some hosts, I think the better hosts, they were being honest about this and saying what you said in San Francisco. A lot of stuff went their way. You don't get outgained every gain as it was,
No.
et cetera. And they get shock of people calling in and telling them to shut up, essentially.
Yep. And I'm sorry, but I guess we're old school. Watch the game the way I always have. And if you can't prevent the other team from getting first downs on passes, you're screwed. There's no way you can win because eventually they're going to eat you up. And what you saw yesterday was the end of the luck. They had luck. They beat Kansas City because a receiver dropped a wide open ball deep. How does a guy get behind your defense when you're trying to hold a lead late in the game? And he dropped it. That was the game. They would have lost that game. They would have lost the Buffalo game if the refs had called a horse collar, which was obvious. And they didn't call it, and the Eagles got a good break. I'm thrilled they got the break. But you got to deal with reality. The team isn't that good this year. They're not.
Well, I think they're overwhelming in some ways, but you're right. Can't make up for against the better teams, against a team like that. I was surprised San Francisco. Brock Purdy, I'm not buying it, but the weapons he has and the rest of it, they are overwhelming, and they're physical. They were really physical.
Yeah.
Brings me to the coach. Now, you and I probably share this. We like a great storyline here. A guy named Dom, the security guy, not even a coach, getting into it with a San Francisco player. But I think there you go. Sirianni getting into it with the player. I can't picture Andy Reid or somebody doing that. So do you like that with Sirianni?
I love the emotion of the sideline, but I got to tell you, my son Neil is a Giants fan. It's a long story. But anyway, so he texted me during the game, and he said he wishes that a San Francisco player would attempt to punch Sirianni in the face. Sirianni, the more Sirianni aggravates opponents of the Eagles, the more I like him. I'm not really upset with Sirianni because I think most of the decisions on the devaluation of the linebackers, of the bend but don't break philosophy, those are not Sirianni. I really believe that's Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie, the owner and the GM of the team. And, he's just paying the price. I wish he would that emotional in his news conferences. I would like to see some of that come out other than just on the field.
Yeah. Angelo, one other quick area too. It's college football is even more corrupt. And I know, when you were at the Inquirer and Columbia
Yeah.
School of Journalism, where you came from and all, it's incredible because the NFL seems to have some elements of control there, roughly. College football does whatever they want. That being said, I think Alabama was the correct choice over Florida State.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't made for the right reason. All right. They did it because, wow, Michigan, Alabama. Oh, the TV ratings,
Yeah.
the money. That's the real reason. It's not because, Florida State lost their starting quarterback. They're going to get burned because of it. But if you know anything about the NCAA,
Oh, God.
every decision, even more, I'd even say as much, if not more than the NFL, everything is made for the bottom line. And it's like, that's college. There should be more to it than just where you're making money. The NFL's a business. You get it. NCAA, that's why I've never been that big a fan, although I got to be honest, since I retired, I watch more college football now, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm not. It's the same thing with college basketball, pro basketball. I've gone more the pro side. So, Angela, with all these book things, my son DJ tells me, I know you're going to be at Barnes and Noble, I guess it is, out in Montgomery County on Saturday, 2 to 4. I think he told me yesterday. Where are you going to be around the area? Do you have that handy? Where can we find it?
Oh my God, I've literally got 2 or 3 a day. I'm going to be on I'm going to be on Germantown Avenue in Chestnut Hill.
Oh,
where
all
I
right.
live.
Yeah.
I'm doing a brewery there. The Chestnut Hill Brewery I'm doing on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. You know who was there last weekend? Bradley Cooper. All right. How far down did they drop to go from Bradley Cooper to me?
Oh, boy, we're going to see the draw. Well, look, I'm going to have Enzo send some free food over from Cosimo's. That'll help the draw.
I get my pizza there. You know the area, don't you, Don?
Well, I go there too. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. And what's Angelo again? I'll see if I like it.
All right. No, you'll see me somewhere soon. Cindy Webster is my marketer, and she has me running everywhere.
All right. So what's that? When we want to outdraw Bradley Cooper, it's going to be where and when?
Yeah, just go to angelocatelli.com. All of the stops on the tour are there, and you could still order a hardcover, although they are no longer available on Amazon, at least not right now, but you get a hardcover, and I will personalize it at angelocatelli.com. I still have a bunch of them.
Congratulations on that. If not available right now, that means this is really taken off.
No, it means the publisher had no faith in me.
Oh, so they didn't. We'll see those numbers soon. We'll be touting them. Angelo, thank you, as always, to be continued. Thanks for joining us, Angelo.
Thanks, Dom. It's always a pleasure. Thanks, buddy.
Angelo Cataldi. Hey, Dan, how do you like that act? Well, Bradley Cooper was here last week, and now you got to be in that space.
I honestly think he's a bigger draw than Bradley Cooper in the area.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But you know what I would do? All right, Dan, we're papering the house here. Go this guy outside. Come on in here. Come on. You're cold outside. Come on in. It's free stuff. All right. 855-839-1210. AT&T and Verizon Wireless. All you have to do is push pound 1210. Let me take a quick one here. Marianne in Delco. Let's get one on board here on the famous line in a sports film. Marianne, what's yours? What do you like?
A league of their own. There's no crying in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
No crying in baseball.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, very good in that. The characters, even Rosie O'Donnell, you can kind of put up with. No crying in baseball. Good one.
Tom Hanks playing a drunk. It's not a common thing that I usually
I didn't pick that up. I haven't watched it close enough.
Yeah, he's kind of a horrible person when it first starts.
Right.
And the entire movie's him, coming of age and all. But I'm used to seeing Tom Hanks in happy, good, wholesome roles.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different. A little
Well, I believe Tom Hanks is pretty wildly overrated. But that's another story.
No.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
One of the best of the generation.
Yeah, but he might be in 8th or 9th place.
No, Mount Rushmore.
He's not better than Denzel Washington.
I think Denzel's up there with him.
He's better than. Come on.
But besides Tom Hanks and Denzel, who would you put out there?
Jack Nicholson's clearly better. Oh, man. You think Tom Hanks can do You Can't Handle the Truth or I Ordered a Code Red?
Oh, I definitely think I can see Tom Hanks.
No way. Only Nicholson can do that. All right, 855-839-1210. Coming up, The Hill, which is a
Can I put that up
political.
as a poll?
What poll?
What do you think it's going to be if we do Tom Hanks versus Nicholson head to head?
Put it up. I think Nicholson wins with this crew 65-35.
Wow.
Yeah. I'd put that up. All right, coming up. Taylor Swift is being called upon to save the country by editors of The Hill. What does she have to do? Well, I'll tell you that next. And your calls here with Dom on Talk Radio 1210. All right, Tom Giordano Show. I think Taylor Swift, the odds are on this. She might do it, Dan. The Hill, long column by a guy, George Mason, says Taylor Swift is the one who can save democracy. Abortion's the issue, coming out against Trump. And he listens to this last paragraph. Additionally, her schedule may align well with the last-minute push for Biden. Her Eras tour will end its U.S. run in Indianapolis on Sunday, May 3rd. This would give Swift the Monday after for a quick campaign swing through the Rust Belt, perhaps culminating with an election eve concert in her hometown of Philadelphia.
Is she really going to get that political this time around, do you think?
Abortion gets it crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saving democracy. My God. I hope she does it so she exposes what I've been saying all along here, but we'll see. First loss yesterday, too. She was there at the Packers game against the Chiefs, and a big loss with Taylor Swift there. Maybe the magic is wearing off a slight bit. All right. Phone lines are 855-839-1210. You get on board. We are loaded up today. Great stuff from Angelo, but Scott Presler, who really does have a star quality about him, here in Kensington on Saturday, we covered it. Here's a little bit, Dan, of what Presler told me when I asked him about the crowd he drew to go knocking, not just knocking on doors, those clowns on Twitter, the app, etc. And the whole goal is mail-in balloting, to get people to bank their vote. Here's what he told me.
Is this a typical type of turnout? This is amazing on a Saturday morning in the middle of, on the border of Kensington.
For Philadelphia, Saturday, we're in Harrogate, that we're adjacent to Kensington. This is amazing. I mean, I've been in some areas that we haven't had half this turnout. This shows, I think, that people are hungry for change. They're hungry for something new. They're hungry for leadership, and that's what we're hoping to bring.
Well, the one woman from Montgomery County that asked you the question, to get here from Montgomery County, I'm from the city, but coming from Montgomery County to the middle of this, that's real effort.
And we have New Jersey here today. A congressional candidate shows up. That shows me that people see value in this kind of work.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've got you scheduled for Monday. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Pleasure meeting in person. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, big crowd there for Scott Presler again. Dan, how's it going on getting ahead of the Republican Party in Pennsylvania to deign to come back on the show?
So last Thursday, I believe it was,
yeah.
I sent over an email and they shot back instantly saying, unavailable Friday because there was prior obligations. But at some point this week, you'd love to join. And I've shot two emails since, trying to get a time for this week. And maybe his guy just didn't realize who he was responding to at first and saying, yeah, he'd love to come on because I can't hear back from them now. I want to know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, I want to know what the heck's going on with their mail-in balloting. I don't think they really believe in it still. I don't think they're putting an all-out effort into it. And I saw on Saturday how eager people are to embrace this, get it, and we don't even have to win here. We don't even have to beat the Democrats in mail-in balloting. I think in pegged, Scott Presler will be here. I'll ask him ballpark figures. He says we get 25% total vote in Philadelphia versus 75 of theirs. We're going to win Pennsylvania. I've seen if we only have 33% of mail-in ballots when everything is said and done, we're going to win Pennsylvania. Yet, institutional roadblocks right in front of us. Big Republican establishment, right? Who don't know what they're doing, don't care to know what they're doing. Maybe secretly hope Trump loses anyhow. We don't need Taylor Swift. We just need to be not even competitive, just in the game with mail-in balloting. Even with abortion, even with all this nonsense. Yeah, maybe Springsteen and Swift. Oh, I think it would be Swift and Springsteen, right? Who would go first on that bill, Dan? I'm serious. Can you go in front of the boss?
No, I think she's the headliner.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I think Bruce is the warm-up act at this point.
Oh, man. Being demeaned to do that. That's not going to be. He'll probably go overtime and hope she gets tired and goes home.
Where he belongs for his career.
There we go. All right. Nice commentary. Yeah. All right. We're going to go to Israel. A lot breaking there and here. Matt Zucker, former PD at WWDB, has been with us several times. People like it to get a sense of on the ground there. He's lived in Israel now for years. He'll tell us how they're thinking and what he thinks about going on back here. And Mark Houck, 1:30, big lawsuit against the federal government. We'll get it all on Talk Radio 1210. It is Dom time. By the way, I just was thinking, Dan, getting a cup of tea back there. Jim asked me would I cover Taylor Swift if she does come here. I'd like to do the news conference and ask a question. I covered Paris Hilton in the Strawbridge's perfume section. Came here on a Friday night one time, back when she was like the most famous person in the world. Did not get to ask a question, though. Ms. Hilton, what do you think?
What would you ask her, though? Like, she just is very shallow. There's not much depth there.
Yeah, well, do you think there's a lot of depth with Taylor Swift?
Well, believe it or not, Paris now there's a lot of depth. She's like a businesswoman, and she's really taking herself out of the limelight, and she's doing well for herself. But back then, it was just like, you got a reality show.
It was an interesting crowd. I'll tell you off air, the demographics of the breakdown of this thing, it was pretty obvious to me. But behind the perfume counter, with two guys with no necks that were like 6'8", you know? All right, Matt Zucker is a former program director at WWDB, moved to Israel. We've told you before, he has one of his kids, I believe one, in service in the IDF. And periodically, we've talked with him about on the ground. It's been a while. They follow here what Biden's doing, what the media here is doing, et cetera, as this continues, the hostages. We just had more details the last day or so and more eyewitnesses to what happened on October 7th, particularly the attacks on women. Let's go to Matt on Talk Radio 1210. Matt, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Dom. I really appreciate it.
So, Matt, since we've spoken, give us your sense in Israel. What are some of the biggest developments over the last couple of weeks?
Well, the only story in town until Friday really was the hostages and getting them returned and the temporary cessation of hostilities. I don't even like calling it a ceasefire. And that was, man, that was a really hard time on this country. It was like psychological warfare. Everyone was very happy for these families who were getting their loved ones back. But then you start hearing the horrors of what happened to them. And then you have the families who don't get their loved ones back, wondering about their loved ones. And then you have the entire country who has loved ones in the army sitting here knowing that Hamas is rearming and that this will probably cost more soldiers' lives. It was really not a great time, I think, in the country.
That's got to be a really, really difficult call there. How about the United States? Are people there believing that the Biden administration is calling the tune?
Well, Tony Blinken was on national TV last week threatening us, and everyone was hip to what he was saying. It wasn't too tough to decipher that message. The sellout is in the process, and it's like Biden has already, he came out solid in the first few hours, I guess, before his handlers got to him. He talked about the atrocities going on. He even made reference to the inflated death toll out of Gaza because all the Gaza Ministry of Health numbers are all Hamas numbers. And then we read in our papers here that he apparently had to backtrack and apologize to some key American Muslim figures because they were all bent out of shape about him, calling Hamas lying terrorists. And now we're being told that we need to watch our civilian casualties. First of all, Tony Blinken admits in one hand that Hamas hides in civilian population. Said, yeah, they have command centers and rockets in hospitals and schools, but you can't attack them.
Hey, Matt, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a sense of something you might have a better handle than I. That was still a lot of airstrikes, even though there are substantial Israeli IDF on the ground going block by block. And the airstrikes are where you can't be, obviously, is more precise or they're hiding among people. Well, what's the feeling on that? Do people question that at all? Or do they just trust they're going to be as precise as they can?
Oh, our population 100% knows that our military is being as precise as it can. And I got to tell you, it causes some consternation here. There are people that don't want to go through all that. What are we, at what human cost on the Israeli side are we paying? We go through, the whole deal. They let everybody know with text messages and roof knocking and all that no other army on this planet does to their enemy, right? But we have to do it. We're held to a higher standard, by the rest of the world. I don't recall, Ukraine having contingency put on their military aid. And I'll be honest with you, when this whole thing is done, I hope to heck Israel cuts ties with the defense agreements with America. There's no reason why we can't be independent. It is a net negative for us, and this is an election year, and you have the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party who are going to scare the hell out of the Democrats, and Israel is going to get stuck right in the middle.
How about the Iron Dome? It seems to be, and you're there, but overall better now. When I was there, it seemed to be impregnable. I mean, we had experts on around it, and it did a good job, but the initial attack, when you flood it with enough rockets, then nothing really is going to stop that. How are people feeling about that? And also this report, sadly, Matt, unless there's difference in the country, that they had inklings of this type of an attack about a year in advance.
Yeah, listen, I think all of Israel is kind of unified on that. Everyone knows something happened, right? I mean, it was the most surveilled border in the world. Something happened. We have to get through this first. There's going to be plenty of time to figure that out for sure. For sure, heads need to roll. There's all kinds of stories about warnings ignored for this reason or that reason. And to be honest with you, that's a distraction that no one can afford right now. We'll get there eventually. We just have to defeat our enemies first. So.
And the feeling is then, no matter how long this takes, once and for all, because the numbers, and these numbers are difficult. The belief I saw a week or so ago was pretty consensus that maybe they've killed 2,500 of direct Hamas out of 20 to 30,000. So it's a long way to have any real impact to stop them.
Well, listen, the advances into southern Gaza and Khan Yunis have started. So Hamas has had plenty of time to embed themselves in the so-called civilian population down there to really maximize the death toll for the cameras. And that's the sticky wicket. We know it's coming. We know it's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of dead babies on TV, probably a lot of fake dead babies too, because the Palestinians love to do that. Wrap up dolls and stuff. But hey, we didn't start this fight, and guess what? We can never, ever, ever have another day like October 7th again. And Israel is unified that this war is not stopping till that's over, and it really doesn't matter what America says.
Matt Zucker with us.
I don't know how that's going to play out, man. I don't know how it's going to play out. It'll be very interesting.
Matt Zucker with us, former program director, WWDB. Matt, you still have relatives in the area, your wife, I assume, too. And just over the weekend, we saw the latest angle to this. There was a precursor. They put out a list of Jewish businesses, prominent, mostly restaurants. And now they started to harass and go after this one, Goldie's. In downtown Philadelphia.
We saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made the news here too. Right, Michael Salmanov, who's one of Philly's biggest restaurateurs, who is Israeli by birth, raised in America.
Yes.
This guy, by the way, is no Palestinian baby killer. This guy is he has Arab relations here in Israel. He runs food tours and embraces the Arab culture. One of his restaurants actually sells wine from some country called Palestine. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter because these people, it's not about Israel. It's about Jews. It is about Jew hatred. And anybody who says they're pro-Palestine is so full of crap. I'm sick of it. They don't give a rat's ass about the Palestinians. They hate Jews. End of story.
Hey, Matt, on a personal note, too, now your son in service, I think it's one, right? What's the latest with him?
Yeah. My one son is serving on the northern border, which doesn't get a lot of press. It's like there's like a low intensity conflict going up there daily. Anti-tank rockets from Lebanon and mortars, daily exchanges. It's just a tense situation. So the fight really hasn't started, but there's no quiet. It's just tense for everybody. The soldiers want to basically fight or go home. But that's another thing. The Lebanese border, America is putting a lot of pressure on. It's apparently up to us to keep Hezbollah, to keep the fight from starting. And Hezbollah every day throws artillery our way. By the way, UNIFIL, the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, another useless UN body, right? They're supposed to enforce Resolution 1701. No Hamas between the Litani River and the Israeli border. Yet, Hamas fires rockets from right in front of UN positions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down in Gaza, the UN facilities are full of Hamas. Down in Gaza, I'll be honest with you, if I ran the show, the UN would be shut down in Israel, thrown out, and I would tell them, guess what? If you're between us and Hamas or us and Hezbollah, you're a legitimate target. I'm just like, I'm so sick of the world.
We want to kick them out of New York, so we don't want them anywhere. The UN. Hey, Matt, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. The one thing that Israelis know is that by and large, the American people, we feel the love, bipartisan. Problem with the youth, this we know, but we feel the love from the American people. What is up with the government? A completely different story. But we really appreciate your support and everybody else's support.
Matt, thank you. To be continued. Anytime you want to come on, just let us know. We'll get an update. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Don.
Matt Zucker, former PD at WWDB, with something I've got a lot from listeners over the course of time, actually having somebody embedded there in Israel. Dan just gave me this. More breaking news. This is from the New York Post. Might be a Miranda Devine call out there. President Biden received a recurring payment of $1,380 from his son Hunter's law firm beginning in late 2018, shortly after a bank money laundering officer warned that the same amount was receiving millions of dollars in Chinese government-linked funds without any services rendered. A bank order shows that Oswego PC set up a monthly transfer to the then vice president with a voided check for the future president included in the documentation released Monday by the House Oversight Committee. Dan, we filed this we've been saying all along. All right, we have a little bit of sound we'll play. If you have one questionable, I forget the phraseology they use, suspicious banks, or that they're supposed to report it. They've had literally hundreds, if not thousands, the entire operation of the Bidens. And look, I may be petty and all. I know people, Tom, don't worry about Hunter. He's not the big fish. No. I want to see him in jail, even if it doesn't lead ultimately to Joe Biden. It would be, it's a day of celebration. I've already thought about it. I'll invite you out, Dan, whatever you want. Hunter Biden in jail day. Let's celebrate. An annual event.
They're called SARS, Suspicious Activity Reports.
Yes, SARS.
Yes, hundreds of them.
All right, here's a little bit of sound on this, telling us what's happened here, what the House has released.
Yes, this is James Comer, his work on it.
Now, Hunter Biden's legal team and the White House's media allies claim Hunter's corporate entities never made payments directly to Joe Biden. We can officially add this latest talking point to the list of lies. Today, the House Oversight Committee is releasing subpoenaed bank records that show Hunter Biden's business entity, Owasco PC, made direct monthly payments to Joe Biden. This wasn't a payment from Hunter Biden's personal account, but an account for his corporation that received payments from China and other shady corners of the world. At this moment, Hunter Biden is under an investigation by the Department of Justice for using Owasco PC for tax evasion and other serious crimes. And based on whistleblower testimony, we know the Justice Department made a concerted effort to prevent investigators from asking questions about Joe Biden. I wonder why. The more we learn, it appears the Justice Department was trying to cover up for the Bidens until brave IRS whistleblowers came forward and a federal judge rejected the sweetheart plea deal. Payments from Hunter's business entity to Joe Biden are now part of a pattern revealing Joe Biden knew about, participated in, and benefited from his family's influence peddling schemes. When Joe Biden was vice president, he spoke by phone, attended dinners, and had coffee with his son's foreign business associates.
All right, we know that part. So thank you, Representative Comer. Thank you, Dan. Again, we continue the drumbeat on this.
And thank you, Earl.
Thank you, Earl. Thanks,
who's
Earl
on
of
that? I'll pass it over.
Tacony chipping in with this. All right. And monitoring our, or waiting for his chance in studio to give us his great sports quote. Yes.
Well, so the Dom Giordano program, we're doing a special, me and Earl. It's going to be the Earl and the Taconies Christmas album. So Earl came in a little bit early today, a big fan of the show, and he's sitting in studio, and that's prior to us at 3 p.m. laying down some tracks.
All right.
Get that album out there, Dom. You looking forward to it?
Absolutely. Good. We'll have to get that out there. Well, this could be a the first album of the Dom Giordano. Can I get to do some of my best impressions on it?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Like Rich Little coming in, yeah. Variety show.
All right.
And here's Dom Giordano.
Well, we may have to have Jim Kelly actually do the professional version of this.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, we have like a whole intro written up and everything. Maybe we do it as Merrill Reese.
Jim, Rocky Day here. That gave us, thank you for your suggestion. The side question today, great sports movie quotes. What's your all-time line from Rocky? The very best, does Jim Kelly think, is the all-time Rocky line? I don't know why he was in transit from somewhere. I caught him in a hallway here. What great...
I'm sorry about all that, Dom. Like, I had to run down because I had to loan, my headphones to Earl Tacony. You know what I mean? We got to do what we got to do, you know?
He sacrificed himself so Earl could have some headphones. Look at Rocky always being such a champ over
Thank
here.
you, Rocky. I like how you blended all that in. Yes. There's several Rocky quotes out there. There's a lot of them.
Rocky, what do you think of the stabbing at Macy's?
You know what? I got to tell you, I mean, you're sitting over there doing all this and doing all that. Why don't somebody just get Krasner out of office? He's a bum.
Yeah, I like that, Rocky.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to get somebody like Clubber Lang up there. You know what I mean? That's what you need to get, Why don't you try to go at the Clubber like that? You know what I mean? It looks like I was fighting the power.
Clubber Lang running security at Macy's.
Krasner, yes. Yeah, that's what we need there. But the Philadelphia Inquirer, Dan, has finally given us their coverage of the story. They don't call them, as Steve Keeley does, loss prevention guys. They just say security guards. And apparently they say this clown got kicked out, comes back 10 minutes later, and just launches his stabbing. I mean, it's just, where did he get the knife then? Did he have it then? And watch, their coverage will be minimal on this. You know why it'll be minimal? Because he didn't have a gun. He stabbed one guy to death and another critical. If he had shot them, in Center City, Shoppers, gun, the whole thing. Front page.
So you're telling me, reading it just directly from the Inquirer, shortly before 11 a.m., a man attempted to steal merchandise, specifically hats from the store at 13th and Market Streets. Initially, when security guards confronted the man and retrieved the stolen items, he left without incident, but then 10 minutes later, he comes back, approaches the guards, and starts stabbing.
Yeah. A little bit unlikely, but that's the Inquirer coverage. We'll see what Keeley says.
So the guy gets away with it. Okay, he gets away. He walks out of the store.
Yes.
He has the hats. Nobody's saying nothing.
No, the hats are gone.
Hats are retrieved, but they don't.
But he's getting away without any problems.
They don't arrest him, right?
Yeah.
He's going to come back again. They're thinking, well, they don't have arrest pack. Hold him till a cop gets there. Yeah. Right.
If I walked into a Best Buy right now and decided that I wanted to grab some stereo equipment, do you think I would get away with it?
Well, it's
no comment.
It's Krasner.
Yeah. I mean, odds on.
I don't want to give the
me
listeners
getting
any
away.
ideas.
Yeah, no, let's go back.
I want to be the catalyst
here.
here.
All right, so it's
no
okay. All right, coming up, this is one of the you cannot believe it stories, and it broke loose over the weekend or Friday, I guess, because this veteran tearfully wanting to know why he couldn't get top-notch or medical care from the VA, and yet the VA has a long-standing arrangement with ICE to process claims for migrant medical care, and it's costing a lot of money. So you know what the bottom line is? I'm not afraid to say, veterans, go to hell. You come here illegally, step right up. We got Dr. Whoever the most current prominent doctor. Dr. Oz is going to help you. All right, 855-839-1210. And Dan, Fox, just in the last 5 minutes, they got the maniacs in front of Goldie's with their graffiti they left behind, and then they pivot to stabbing right in the heart of Philadelphia. How does Philadelphia withstand this type of stuff on a daily basis and not be anything but mediocre? And the answer is it's just going to be mediocre until we get Jim Kenney out of office. 855-839-1210.
'Cause you're only a man, and a man's got to learn to take it. Try to believe, though the going gets rough, that you gotta hang tough to make it.
I don't know. What sports film is that from? Is it Rocky? 3 or 4 or something?
Karate Kid.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Karate Kid.
Is karate a sport? Yeah, it's a sport, right?
Oh, yes. Grasshopper.
I was noise. It's up there with the. Is that still in here?
I got to get the
Oh
chocolate.
no, it's not. I don't have
Yeah.
the crow anymore. You doing the crow? There it is.
All right. This long-standing arrangement. So a veteran, tearfully, we see this over the weekend. The executive director of Concerned Veterans for America and a veteran of the United States Air Force told Fox Digital, I'd like to understand why the VA is involved with these illegal immigrants. When an illegal immigrant under ICE detention requires medical care, they're typically treated on-site by However, if a specialist or emergency care is required, they can be sent to the VA. In such cases, VA contracts, the ICE contracts with the VA's financial center to process reimbursements to those providers. Now, think about this. This care, you know how expensive this could be if it's more emergency medical care or complex medical care. We're paying for that, and yet we're having difficulties with our own veterans. That's what they're complaining about here. I mean, even for the Biden administration, even for what they're doing at the border. Who knew that until this last couple of days? I mean, it was obvious in plain sight, but nobody had publicized it. This veteran broke down, wanting to know about medical care and hearing the breaking story that the Biden administration then has ICE go to VA medical care. And again, no one wants people to die and all the rest of it. But doesn't this underline once again this nonsense with being overwhelmed by illegal immigrants, aliens coming to the country, and then taking away from a spot that should be sacrosanct? You're dealing with veterans and their care. And when I honestly, over the years, you don't know how many times we've done shows on this. When you look at the money being set aside for veterans care, it ought to be more than enough, but the boondoggle, the nonsense. Remember the number of veterans that were dying? We went through this, McCain investigate, the whole thing. It all comes back to all this nonsense, but this is the latest wrinkle. How in the world are veterans essentially put behind people that are here illegally? Or that money, look, if Biden wants to continue to do this, he's going to have to find money somewhere else. He can't take it from veterans. Well, we're not taking it from veterans. Of course you are. If I have X number of billions and I'm spending some of those billions out of the Veterans Administration budget for those that are here illegally, you are taking it away. Here is Darren Selnick from Concerned Veterans of America, was on with Pete Hegseth, commenting on this.
Hey, Pete, thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, it's happening. And I got to tell you, when I found out about this a few weeks ago, it made me mad. And everyone I've talked to who's a veteran, it makes them mad. VA's mission is to serve veterans. It is not to help ICE and the Border Patrol, which we have the documents, which on their websites and from a memo. It's not to help them go ahead and process medical claims and pay medical claims and make it easy for the unauthorized migrants to get health care and dental care. So what is happening is, and look, as someone who's a former senior advisor in the Trump administration at the VA and an advisor at the White House, I would have stopped this. We would have stopped this because it's not right. The mission of the VA is to serve veterans, not to serve unauthorized migrants. And so what's happening is, and we have this from the Undersecretary of Health, he's put out in a video, which I've seen, hey, make it hard for veterans. Make it hard for veterans to go ahead and get community care. But at the same time, they are processing for 2022, 161,000 medical claims and paying those claims for unauthorized migrants. Meanwhile, veterans are having a hard time getting health care. They're literally dying because they can't get mental health in a timely manner. They can't get cancer treatment. Bills are being sent to them because they're not paying the providers on time. So it's make it hard for veterans. They've told the staff to do that. Only default to the VA community care when you have to. At the same time, they're helping Border Patrol and ICE make it easy button. Easy button for unauthorized migrants, hard button for veterans. It's got to stop. Congress needs to investigate this. Last year, Mayorkas said in testimony that they were working with the VA to go ahead and expand this, possibly in medical centers. We don't know exactly how deep this is. It's got to be investigated.
It's insane.
Got to be stopped.
That VA employee you're talking about said,
this is hand-to-hand combat. Now, sometimes the moral position and the political position align. They align here. Trump had a great record on veterans, would not allow something like this, obviously. This plays into so many things. Obviously, if you are, there's no, Mayorkas can sit there and do his dummy thing and the whole thing. They ought to impeach him anyhow. They ought to start with him to send a message. You're not going to completely get away with this. But if this is accurate, and there's no reason to doubt, this guy sounded very calm and deliberate on all this stuff. And there's paperwork indicated, but 162,000. And again, this isn't meanness or lack of sympathy to people coming here. It's more abundant evidence, though. This is where their priority is. And if that's your priority, that's fine. Let the Democrat Party, let progressives line up with those that are legal immigrants, take preference over this, over veterans. Make it hard on veterans. Why is that? Well, you're trying to stay within the budget that you have, and you have 162,000 cases he just talked about. Just imagine how enormous that is. We already think it was substandard over the years, treatment of veterans. And again, now we're piggybacking in there with people that are here illegally. You hear what he said, too. It's an illegal immigrant, easy button to push. Yeah, that happens. Get the person taken care of. Veteran, make it harder because we have to provide for this 162,000 other cases. You literally can't make this up. You just cannot fathom they would be up to this in plain view. And if this is further investigated, Republicans on top of it, this is in addition to a moral wrong. This is the type of stuff that you run on. This is this type of stuff that you push back. This is this type of stuff that you would think would reach persuadable people. Everybody listening now would be outraged, but I'm talking about people that are more in the middle, they're back and forth, they're not paying attention, whatever. And you tell them one party, their priority are the people coming here illegally. You see this in Chicago. You see it in African-American neighborhoods. They're outraged. Why are we being inundated with this? Then they try to blame Governor Abbott. They want to keep it in Texas. Those towns there go to hell. 70,000 more are going to be dumped in. You see what Martha's Vineyard did. They want a virtue signal. They don't want to pay for it, and they want to take away from veterans. Everybody has always known the Democrat Party does not have a sterling record when it comes to the military, armed forces, et cetera. They can paper it over a bit. They try to deflect you by saying, how dare you say that? What do you call this? Love to hear from some veterans, your experience with this and the ability to deal with this or not. We'll continue with that. But coming up, thrilled to bring you Mark Houck, who is suing the federal government for the weaponization of the DOJ, FBI, and I think even the state police were there. I hope he sues Pennsylvania, too. He's one of our candidates for Person of the Year. He's next here on Talk Radio 1210 as the weather gets colder. The NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Make your own bets or choose from tons of pre-made bets in the app. Same game parlays give you a chance for a bigger and better payout. Get those winnings paid fast. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. Spreads, player props, over and unders. Visit FanDuel.com/Dom this NFL season. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL, yet to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. Dom Giordano Show. By the way, that kid that had the headgear on, the Kansas City Chiefs, and was slurred by Deadspin, it looks like his parents are going to sue Deadspin over this.
Good.
At least the threat's out there. Yeah. I mean, God.
11-year-old running a
Yeah, when
news
it's
website,
a
you know?
kid, and we all remember Nick, the smirker.
Nick Sandman.
Sandman got big money from 3 or 4 news organizations. Well, somebody else is suing, and this is a good thing. Now, this is a little bit harder, and he is one of our candidates, one of our nominees for Person of the Year. That would be Mark Houck, who came to international fame because of the weaponization of the DOJ, the FBI, and even the Pennsylvania State Police showed up one Sunday morning because of a dispute. This is what I would offer as an expert witness, Dan. Mr. Giordano, how rare is it when Larry Krasner wouldn't go after a guy like Mark Houck and the charges were dropped? Well, Your Honor, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that Larry Krasner would do. He did it? Yeah. Well, then why is the federal government prosecuting him? Larry Krasner wouldn't? Man. Let's go to Mark Houck here on Talk Radio 1210. Mark, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, Dom. Thanks for having me. Great question you asked about Larry Krasner.
Yeah.
I'm still pondering that.
Yeah. Feel free to use that in the legal case. So feel free to call upon me too. And, we'll certainly get a win here. So, Mark, what's the basis for the main thing? The overreach of government is one of your campaign now running against Brian Fitzpatrick. Sure. Weaponization of the government as a point of emphasis. What exactly are you alleging in the suit?
Sure. Well, the foundation of the original complaint, and there will be more complaints filed, but this one has to do with prosecutorial misconduct. Essentially, we're claiming that the government, and it begins with us even telling the government that we would come in peacefully and there's no need to bring any agents out to our homes, and the government refusing to do that. So prosecutorial misconduct. It was an egregious violation of our rights. It's all laid out in the complaint. But what we had to itemize in this initial complaint was the degree of damages that we could quantify. Essentially, the trauma to the family for sure, but the loss of income, the reputation damage, and all those things that you can somewhat, to a degree, quantify with as it relates to my profession. Nonetheless, we will follow up in April. The government has 6 months to reply to this complaint, but in April we will follow up with something that will be a filing that will deal with the punitive damages that the government should be responsible for.
Well, give us a sense. Now, people know about the trauma with their kids. I read a little bit, just the news coverage about the pointing of weapons and things of this nature. I mean, it's bad enough, heavily armed beyond belief, and a great number of men. But also the actions inside the home and all you seem to talk about, that is something that is complete weaponization.
Sure. So, on the day of their arrival, of course, it was dark o'clock, 6:45 in the morning. My children were all asleep. And so, the danger that they put them in, the government by showing up with the artillery that they had and the M16 guns that were pointed at me and then my wife and then my kids being downrange as the guns entered the home. Look, the trauma, we all have PTSD. The trauma that's related to that is beyond measure. But I think what I always point out to people is, look, my wife and I spent 15 years homeschooling our children and keeping them safe and protecting their innocence. And what the people need to know, and I think even in this upcoming election, is that the government, the weaponization of this government, the Biden regime, stole that innocence in an instant with that reckless decision. And I think that's the heart of this lawsuit.
Mark, is this a contention with Brian Fitzpatrick, though, back and forth? Do you see him as someone who, hasn't been strong enough in this issue?
Well, look, I mean, from a personal level, as his constituent, Brian did not condemn it. I saw him at the State of the Union shortly thereafter my acquittal. He did not ask me how I was doing, how my family was doing. Are you guys okay? Is there anything I can do for you? So just on a personal level, as a former FBI agent, he didn't not publicly condemn what happened. So that hasn't really come up yet. I'm sure it will come up as we demonstrate how different we are from Brian. If that happened to one of my constituents, that's the first thing I would do. Obviously, I got to gather more data, and I understand that. You have to gather data. But once you figure out what happened, then you say, hey, this is an overreach. I'm this person's congressman. What can I do to help here? He didn't do anything. He was completely silent on it.
So when you go around, in addition to this is a major marker for you, a brand, if you will, even though very serious.
Sure.
What else are people talking about out there in the congressional district? Because I don't see Fitzpatrick as being off the mark on inflation, for example, which is the overriding issue against Democrats. It's not a signature of his. Bipartisanship, I guess, for want of a better word, would be. What are
Sure.
you hearing in the district as you campaign?
Sure. Well, look, and Brian and I don't disagree on everything, right? He is a Republican to a degree. I mean, his voting would reflect otherwise. But when it comes to the district, what I'm seeing is people excited for change. I'm seeing people excited to just have a different representation, not only from a taxpayer standpoint as it relates to sending our money over to overseas, or sending our mother overseas. How about that? Sending our money overseas and how that would save our district. But I think people are just excited in general for the representation to be more honest, have more integrity, and to actually follow through with what you say you're going to do. And that's exactly what people are excited about, more so than the inflation.
You've raised, according to one news report where this article appeared, Mark, about 100,000. He has allegedly a 5 million. Do you have a website where people can help you out in this?
Yeah, sure. Of course, we don't need 5 million. We'd love it, but we got 3.5, 4 months where people can go to helpforcongress.com and they could support us. We're hoping to raise about $500,000. I think that's what we're going to need. So we're getting there. We're slowly but surely. But you know what? The good news, Dom, is we're receiving support from all over the union, all over the republic. So that's exciting, and I'm happy that people around the country are excited about this race.
And Houck, for listeners, is spelled Houck, Houck. Now, Dan and I nominated you, along with a couple of other people, as the Person of the Year, because this story is just almost made up. It's a made-for-TV movie of where our government's gone. And that's why I kiddingly talked about Krasner. When Larry Krasner will not prosecute someone who is diametrically on the other side of several issues with him, meaning you, and it says, it's just a sidewalk thing, move on here. That's a marker, Mark, is my point, of how far the government has gone in this, how much of a spectacle they would create. But even strategically, to make this, even if they're morally bankrupt, strategically, there's no way they should come to your house thinking that's going to send a message other than the message to get persuadable people to say, I may differ with Mark, but this is way over the line.
Yeah, and that's what we found, is that the majority of people, across the aisle, atheists, non-Christians, have reached out to me in this past year saying, hey, I don't agree with your politics, but what happened to you should never happen to an American citizen. So, look, I think it's really unifying to a degree, which is great for the campaign. But yeah, to your point, this leads to collusion, right? Did Larry Krasner know, and was he told to stand down? I mean, these are some of the cases that's being made in the complaint, that the government colluded with local authorities and told them to stand down so that they could come after this man from Bucks County.
Yeah. You still go on Wednesdays, or most Wednesdays, to the abortion center?
Yeah, I'm there every Wednesday. God willing, I can be there. But yeah, usually every Wednesday I'm there, and just doing what we do, right? Exercising those First Amendment rights.
And any, there's people okay with it now after the lines have been set here pretty quickly?
As far as people, I mean, look, it's been status quo. Nothing's changed there. I think what good has come from it is Bruce Love's no longer there. He's not allowed back. He was the man that was involved in the case. but also the people that work there are more aware of their role, and they actually have it's defined now for them, and that came out in the court case, so that now that no one's rights are really being trampled upon from a First Amendment standpoint, they're actually standing down, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, thank you. Thanks for bringing this lawsuit. And this is going to be a very interesting race with Brian Fitzpatrick, and you're on the short list here.
For sure.
It's not Time Magazine, but our Person of the Year is one of our highest honors. And what you've gone through and coming out the other side here is very, very important.
Well, thank you for honoring me, Dom, and I appreciate it. And let's talk again soon. God bless
We
you.
will. Thank you, Mark. God bless. Mark Houck here on Talk Radio 1210. So far, Dan, the big three, Scott Presler will be here at 2 o'clock today, the rock star of mail-in balloting. You can't make this stuff up. You got to see this guy in person. I wish I had the capability of videoing it. I don't know. I don't want to bring video equipment into Kensington, though. It's a little bit dicey.
Yeah, that's not
Oh, when Sam said it's a secure lot, and I saw this big iron gate that goes up and down, like 10, 15, 20 feet high, like you put a riot gate up on a business. That's what it's like for the
So
parking
how'd you
lot.
get? Did you drive down Kensington with? Did you see Skid Row at all?
No, I did not, because
No?
I had to get downtown. I mean, this is the glamour life. I was at the Faith and Discovery Institute, too, there at noon, and I had to get a sandwich for Roe, so I ate my sandwich while driving. That's
Yeah.
lunchtime on a Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds.
yeah.
What was it? Turkey?
No.
Oh wait, no,
It was
tuna.
tuna.
That
It
was
was tuna.
Joe Sibilia. His order was turkey.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Plain
Yeah.
cheese.
And I was fine with it. Great folks over there. By the way, the museum going tremendously. And a listener, I'll show it to you. I don't know if I want to put this up on Twitter. She had some, have you seen this where they can Photoshop you to make you look 20 years younger?
Yeah.
Yes, that worked, except my eyes were all like I had too many
Wonky
wines.
eyes.
Yeah, no, not good.
Yeah,
Have you done it with yours?
Yeah, I did it with mine.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did it, and I look really good. If I lost some weight and put on some muscle, I just can't find the motivation to do so. Like how they did me was like they put me in like a model's body with my head on it, and
Oh,
I look
okay.
fantastic. But
No, this was the real me
the
with
age
20
one-
years. Yeah, taken off. Yeah, the hair was still perfect.
Did it look
gotta
like
say.
you 20 years ago?
The eyes are all weird. They can't get
it's
the
tough.
eyes right. It's
Yeah.
probably AI. Yeah. All right. 855-839-1210. Scott Presler. You got to go when this guy, he's going to be at the gun show. This is a draw, Dan. Mail-in balloting and guns. What is Jim Kenny going to say about that? And speaking of Kenny, he told the Inquirer his legacy is he always cared. No, that's not even
Get
true.
out.
No, that's not even true.
Yeah,
No.
I thought you said you didn't want to be.
He always
mayor.
cared. He didn't want to be mayor.
Yeah.
And he said that, no, I don't want to be mayor. Jeff Cole was great on the scene there, prying in. As soon as he said it, he was right in this 6 inches away. Would you say that again? Yeah, I really don't want to be mayor. And he started laughing about it. My God. 855-839-1210. You get on board here with Dom and Dan. Let's talk Dr. Bentz for a moment. Holiday season. We all know what that means. In addition to presents under the tree, it's time to use those FSA and HSA benefits we've been accruing all year long. If your benefits are still available, now's a great time to reach out to my dentist, great friend, Dr. Robert Bentz from the Bentz Dental Group to set up an appointment for a consultation. Now, you know how much I admire Dr. Bentz's quality work, attention to detail, and investment in the overall health of his patients. Dr. Bentz, board-certified prosthodontist, recently appointed to the board of the American College of Prosthodontists. So if you're considering dental implants, reconstruction, or any dental or prosthodontic needs, call the Bentz Dental Group today to schedule your appointment with Dr. Bentz. Don't let 2023 and beyond, don't leave it without taking advantage of those FSA and HSA benefits. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com, BENTZ dentalgroup.com to book your appointment today, or call them at 610-272-6949. That's 610-272-6949.
That's right. It's that time in the afternoon that producer Dan takes over the Dom Giordano program for some Dan Time with Dom. And Dom, today we have a friend in studio, Earl of Taconia, king of fungus, sitting right next to me. How you doing, Earl?
Doing all right. Now that the restraining order that Dom has against me is expired, I'm allowed in the studio.
Well, the thing is, you can't see visually, but there is a big pane of glass, and we are in a separate room.
Bulletproof,
and an alarm did go off on
Yes.
Dom's keychain when he did get too close to him, sitting in the same studio.
Yes.
Well, normally these things renew on their own, but what it is, Larry Krasner doesn't like me, and he hates my guts, but he hates Dom's guts even more, so that's why it hasn't renewed.
I'd love
So
to
that's why
see
I'm
the
here.
enemies list over at Krasner.
Did
World.
Krasner let all your restraining orders lapse, Dom? Is that what's happening here?
Apparently, that's it. Yes, I think he's probably shopping at Macy's at this point.
But Dom, Earl is here. Here's a little sample of what's to come. He hit me up a little bit ago. Earl, you're obsessed with Christmas music. Listen year-round to it. It's almost like you're a Santa kind of. Do you play Santa ever?
No.
No?
It occurred to me, I joined a group where a bunch of people, we collect Christmas music. And after a while, it occurred to me, I have all this music, and I've never listened to it. I've got hours and hours of music. So I decided I'm just going to start listening to it year round. I take a 4 or 5 hour road trip, every now and then. So instead of listening to the radio, I'll just listen to Christmas music.
And thank you for giving me as a Christmas present all kinds of stylings of the great Neil Diamond, which Dan still is not on board fully with Neil.
No, I told you I can't get behind Neil Diamond. It's just Tom Jones is okay, but it's just Neil Diamond. There's something about I think it's just Sweet Caroline, man. That
that's
it just kills me. It
yes.
kills his entire act for me. But Dom, here's a sample. So what happened because Earl's listening year round to this Christmas music? He gets Dom Giordano program kind of content in his brain, but then he hears the Christmas music and comes up with something like this.
Oh, God.
So that's the sample. That's the single, the first single off the album.
Tremendous. This is a breakthrough for this show.
But Dom, today we are going to be recording 10 tracks, maybe more than 10 tracks, and doing an entire album of
we got to get this out to
conservative
listeners
Christmas songs.
with a cover. People can put that up on Twitter. By the way, Dan, on Twitter, who was winning between Tom Hanks and
Yeah, it's not going my way today, Dom. It's really not. I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson sits with 72.2% of the vote over Tom Hanks. We asked who's a better actor, Tom Hanks or Jack Nicholson head to head. Nicholson 72.2%, Tom Hanks 27.8%. Prior, you said that was going to be 35 to 65, and for a while, it was actually sitting at exactly 35-65. So
I'm amazed it's even that high. There you go. All right, anything else more in Dan? Well, that's a full Dan Time with Dom today.
Yeah, one more thing I got for you. Squid Game. I don't know if you watched Squid Game when it first came out. I might have poo-pooed it because there's a lot of, you had to read and it wasn't fun. But they have now put out a reality show in the vein of Survivors called Squid Game The Challenge. I was trashing it at first thinking, how are they going to do Squid Game? Squid Game, it's a competition show where everyone died. How are you going to kill people on television? What they do is they take ink packs and make it look like they're being shot when they are indeed eliminated. It really does create the illusion of the actual game going on. And I highly suggest the interpersonal relationship similar to Survivor. You really get on Team X or you start supporting a certain person. And it's a lot of fun to watch. And there's some politics that come into play. And one of the things is a social justice attorney who just completely shows her true colors. And it's great watching as a conservative because you're like, a lot of these far left progressives have this underlying evil behind them, and it really comes out to show for this one character. So I suggest Squid Game The Challenge over on Netflix. But that's all I got for Dan Time with Dom today, Dom.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk with, he's really a star in an arcane thing, mail-in balloting, how it gets people crazy in Kensington over the weekend. Big crowd out. Scott Presler, one of our candidates for Person of the Year, and he's coming to the gun show in Oaks. Does Jim Kenney know that? Also, the head of elections in Philadelphia, pushes back against President Trump. Wait until I tell you about Lisa Dealey. Maybe if you listen all the time, you know the little secret there, because Trump said he wanted followers to go into cities like Philadelphia, he named, to guard the vote. Could that really happen this time around? Well, it would mean you have someone there who's from Philadelphia that watches the voting process on Election Day. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210. Big 2 o'clock hour, Dom's Money Melody 2 on Talk Radio 1210. It is Dom time. Welcome in, and what a pleasure it was. I had two events on Saturday, the Faith and Discovery Museum. We love those folks over at Fifth and Market, but 1810 Dan East Venango. They say it borders Kensington. Some people dispute it. You know, the news always wants to say Kensington when anything bad happens. It could be 5 miles away. But Scott Presler was there, and there was a crowd, self-identified listeners from the suburbs and the like across the board. Mike Opelka, Guy Shiraki there covering it, the Delaware Valley Journal, and others. And just, this was like a nightclub act of serious consequences. The guy is a star, and he's coming back to our area in a unique way. He's one of our nominees for Person of the Year. Scott Presler joins us here on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Scott, great work on Saturday. I see what the magic up close is all about.
Oh, thank you. You know, we hosted this event in December after the November election. You know, we're coming up on the holidays. This is winter. And as you mentioned, we're neighboring Kensington. And I couldn't believe how many people that actually showed up. You know, we were close to 50 volunteers. And I think that shows you how hungry people are for change and for positivity.
Without a doubt, including, I don't know if you remember, there was such a swirl of people around you. There was this one woman from Montgomery County, the suburbs, who came all the way to that, which, look, I've lived in the city all my life, and I know you've been in inner city doing cleanups and all, but this is a rough area. You can feel it because you were going to be there, and she was going to take that knowledge back to Montgomery County and start her whole thing up there. And this app that you have, Early Vote Action. Talk about that app and what people can do with it, Scott.
Well, it's so powerful. Thank you. If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, go to your App Store or Google Play Store, and you can download my free application, Early Vote Action. And the reason why it's so cool is usually when you door knock, you need like a passcode, you need like a login. You basically need someone giving you access. Well, what we've done at Early Vote Action is anybody who downloads it and puts it in your phone number, you will have access to local registered Republicans where you live. So there's no waiting for the Republican Party. There's no waiting for a walkbook. There's no waiting for 6 months down the road. You have instant access to your neighbors to begin organizing, to begin collecting ballot signatures to get people on the ballot. I mean, it's so powerful that you can begin creating your own network right now at this very moment.
Scott, after I left and people went out in the neighborhood, you had Temple kids there, you had these people from the suburbs and others, and some that seemed to be veterans of doing some of this. What can you tell us? What are some of the observations and what happened on Saturday?
Well, I'll tell you, I personally went out door knocking with Sam Oropesa, and I think people, quite frankly, were shocked to get a knock on their door from a Republican. But you know what the coolest part was? I won't forget it. It was awesome. We're out door knocking, and we're kind of sticking out like a sore thumb because, again, you know, you have me, 6'5", long hair, cowboy boots in Philadelphia. So people are like, "What the heck is going on?" But we're talking to voters. This woman comes to her door. She's so excited. She's watching the whole process. She's still standing outside of her door 5 minutes later after talking to Sam. We talked to this other woman. "Oh, yeah, I think I voted for him. My husband and I come out. Yes, we're going to be voting this upcoming election. Joe Biden needs to go." But it was cool because here we are connecting neighbors, even know they were fellow Republicans together. And that is really community organizing 101. We're bringing people together with the ultimate goal of trying to save our country. And, you know, we didn't have one inappropriate or untoward conversation. That shows me that the data works and that, again, people are hungry for someone to do something. So we're not going to whine. We're not going to complain. We're going to be the change.
You absolutely are. And then I saw on Twitter almost immediately after that, I guess, you know, what you're doing here in Philadelphia and your overall popularity. You are going to be at the Oaks, the gun show. And you should know, Scott, the mayor of Philadelphia, particularly, who's leaving, attacks this routinely, blames that gun show for the violence in Philadelphia.
Oh, bless his heart. You know, Again, I'm not going to say anything disparaging, but bless his heart for thinking that it's the Philly Gun Expo that is responsible for the opioid epidemic and the crime and the homelessness and the addiction and poverty. Okay, whatever. But anyway, we're going to have that event going on December 15th through 17th. Now, I do want to have one caveat because I'm a man of transparency and accountability. I personally will not be there because I'm going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. But I will tell you, we will have volunteers. We will have mail-in ballot applications. We will be doing voter registration. And we're going to make sure that all of those Second Amendment voters and all of those hunters are prepared to support our constitutional rights in a presidential candidate that is going to uphold those next year in 2024. And I'll tell you, we already have volunteers galore signing up. Yes, we do want more people to sign up, so you can go to earlyvoteaction.com or you can slide into my DMs at Scott Pressler on Twitter. But it really was awesome having an invitation simply because I posted about my coming to Philadelphia. And the amount of people that came on Saturday, several of those are people that have already signed up for the gun show. So this just shows me, guys, if we put a little bit of elbow grease into Philadelphia, I think the dividends will be exponential.
And you get into the minds of people. Now, the ones who are there are savvy, but the average person, David O got 25% in Philadelphia. I have to go back and see the last time we got that presidentially. Moving the needle a few percentage points in a place like Philadelphia, Scott, you make it all the time. What that's going to do, it's going to win Pennsylvania.
Look at what happened in November 2023. The county executive race in Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, we won 49% of the vote. That's unheard of. David O, again, won 25% of the vote. The way that Philadelphia is laid out with voter registration, you have about 777,000 Democrats, you have 107,000 registered Republicans, and you have about 113,000 independent voters. I would wager that those independents are probably Republicans in hiding. Imagine if we got out 200,000 Republican votes for our presidential candidate next year in a state where Joe Biden, and I use this word loosely, quote unquote, won the election in 2020 by 80,000 votes. Guys, those percentage points of carving away in Allegheny, carving away in Philadelphia County, that wins the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So to anyone listening right now where maybe you're a doomer and gloomer, warranted, I understand why you feel that way, but I want you to know from what I've seen on the ground, from the positivity, from the college kids that joined us there, that they didn't have to. It's finals week, and they spent their Saturday because they love our country. I want you to know that it is possible for us to win next year.
Without a doubt. And you win Pennsylvania. We both agree. You're going to win the presidency. It's like a 98, 99% certainty. We're talking with Scott Presler here on Talk Radio 1210. Scott, take us inside to a little bit of this for people. Your app is a game changer, but what are Democrats doing that we need more Republicans who have the resources, tremendous amounts of money to be spent? I think we agree. I wouldn't spend them on ads. Yeah, ads are fine. But the infrastructure of volunteers and banking these votes, that will pay immense dividends because you kind of bang into other people along the way. They get fired up on this. They start doing it. What would $1 million campaign given to you in Pennsylvania, what would you do with that?
Oh my gosh, if I were given resources, well, number one, I'd hire people. I'd hire representatives to do the field workers, to do the voter registration, to do things like going to gun shows, going to college campuses, Duquesne, Slippery Rock, Erie, Penn State University at State College. And furthermore, in addition to, all the normal things like door knocking, holding phone banks, etc., I'd make sure that we're knocking on doors and getting people to sign up for mail-in ballots. Now, I want to clear up some confusion that there might be about mail-in ballots. Now, here's how it works in Pennsylvania. You guys are not a universal mail-in vote state. And what I mean by that is eligible voters do not receive a mail-in ballot unless they request one.
Right.
In Nevada, they do. In Pennsylvania, they don't. And so therefore, in this last election in 2023, the Democrats were able to get, 500,000 people to request a mail-in ballot. And again, they won by 200,000 votes. So the mail-in ballots worked in their favor. They won the election. Now that slate is wiped clean. So all that work the Democrats did in the 2023, those 500,000 voters, they have to rebuild that firewall. Now, everybody that signs up for a mail-in ballot, you are going to receive a request form from the state. Pennsylvania is going to mail those 500,000 Democrats a request form for 2024 because they previously did so. So where the GOP is a little bit behind and kind of foolish is the state is going to help get all these Democrats to sign up for a mail-in ballot, whereas GOPers, where we have not, we're going to have to spend our finite and very precious funding trying to educate voters on the importance of mail-in ballots and send them a mail-in ballot request form. So the Democrats are really going into 2024 with a proverbial head start in terms of funding. The state is going to be helped. You're going to have all the not-for-profit groups, but still it is doable. But guys, think about, your kids. Maybe you have a family member that's elderly. Maybe that you have a job that takes you somewhere else. I really hope that you will see the value and have a plan B and requesting a mail-in ballot that even if you're not going to use it, have that as an option for 2024.
That's right. And you said on Saturday, if you decide, everything works out and you show up at the polls, you can hand in the mail-in ballot and vote on election day
Absolutely.
if you choose. So this is like a fail-safe because some people, it just becomes impossible for them. Something happens in the end. Or, Scott, I think this helps with voters. Maybe they're tepid on a candidate. And if the mail-in ballot is there, they'll do it because it only takes a few minutes. If they got to show up on election day, maybe in the end, they let something get in the way. Not only that, when these are banked, then people like you and others that are out there harvesting, not illegally, but legally, the vote, can go after maybe harder to convince people because you banked the easier ones.
Well, if I see that Dom has already voted, I can take Dom off the list.
Yes.
I no longer have to call you, text you, mail you, email you, waste money on you. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but basically I can take all those resources and focus on those people who have yet to vote. So guys, this isn't me saying that I'm promoting this because I'm trying to be a Democrat or because I don't believe that we should vote on one day, et cetera. No, I'm here for one reason. I'm here to defeat Joe Biden. I'm here to elect a Republican president. I'm here to fight for things like making sure that we have jobs and safe streets and that we're bringing businesses to the area. And those things are only going to happen if we have a diverse approach to voting. We can't only vote on one day where the Democrats are ballot chasing for 50 days and we only vote for 12 hours. We just can't compete.
Parting question, because we get it all the time when I was there on Saturday and other people talk. Where the heck did Scott Presler come from? How was this created? I remember the cleanups that you did. When did it dawn on you to get into this also?
Well, I was inspired by President Obama in 2012, his reelection. And, my dad always said that you never present a problem without offering a solution. And I was so incensed in the direction that President Obama was taking us. And I said, Scott, you're going to get a job in politics. And in 2014, that Christmas before, I was applying to jobs all over the country. I heard back from Texas and it transformed my life. My first ever job was helping to elect Governor Greg Abbott in 2014. And I never wanted Hillary Clinton to set foot in the White House. Spent 2 years of my life working to defeat her and electing President Trump. And it just has been an evolution of doing the cleanups and realizing, okay, that's a bandage, and then getting people registered to vote because then they could pick city council members and mayors that would actually clean up their communities. And then realizing that President Trump is going to need a Congress that's going to actually pass his legislation. So working in the Congress and working in the Senate. And so really, it's just been a ladder and a stepping stone. And I'm going to use all of that knowledge I've gained to make sure that we're winning in 2024, defeating Joe Biden, and electing a completely Republican federal government.
Well, I see the inspiration. I see it up close now. I understand a lot better. Where do we follow you on Twitter? I know you were happy to tell people there you had about 1.4 million followers. We wanted to get to 1.5 million soon.
Thank you. My Twitter is at Scott Presler, SCOTTPRES, 1SLER. And I'm also on everything else, True Social and Instagram, Facebook, etc. And I'm very accessible. So please, my direct messages are open. Send me a comment and tell me that Dom Giordano sent you because I want to be able to show how many listeners and viewers are responsible because of your program.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. To be continued. Thank you for coming to Philadelphia. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right. Scott Presler here on Talk Radio 1210. Yeah, let's get those numbers up. Let them know it's 1S with Presler. You can, the persistence on Twitter, you can Google him. Scott, Presleller. And Dan, if you put that on my Twitter too, that'd be good. That we want you to reach out to him. And that app, Early Vote Action. Why are Republicans not tapping into this? And people like Ethan Columbus, I always miss Ethan the K, who know this stuff, are passionate about, can do it.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, we're going to have to send a flare up over Harrisburg to get the chairman of the Republican Party, to get Larry here. I call Larry, so let him know. Come on the show. Tell us explicitly what you're doing, and I'll match it against the experts on this who inspire people and actually get results in Kensington. The numbers are all there. Democrats cannot win on ideas, but you can't just say, And we don't want that situation that we saw in 2020 where Trump is leading. Suddenly there's a stoppage. Then the mail-in ballots start coming in and Pennsylvania goes away. This is all preventable. This is all doable. Okay, coming up.
Sorry, that's me sending an email right now to Larry's people.
Larry's
You really don't have a good recent history with Larry's, do you?
No, that's true. Yes.
Krasner, this guy, yeah.
Yeah. Coming up, the we hope to do it this week on the education show, Reading, Writing, and Reason. And it should be back. Is it 10 a.m. this Saturday, Dan, or we don't know?
I don't know for sure yet.
Yeah, usually it will be, but the vagaries of basketball and all. I think it's a clear deck this Saturday. The Daily Times, New York Times, has this piece. Wait until you hear Born This Way, Born Which Way. This woman saying that kids should be able to explore their trans nature. In other words, they should have no regrets, take a shot at it. And she said the consequences are not that great. Wait until you hear what she likens it to in her own life when she made this decision. And the New York Times prints this. This is the madness that's underway. Side question today, coming off Rocky Day and coming off everything else, hit us with that all-time quote from a sports movie. But right now, it is time for...
It's Dom's Money Melody.
That is right. Today, you'll win a pair of tickets to see a very Philly Christmas at the Kimmel Center Verizon Hall, December 10th at 6:30 p.m., featuring Broadway singers and dancers, local choirs, the No Name Pops, and a brilliant new arrangement of your favorite holiday songs, plus lots of surprising and some essentially Philly fun. Dan?
Yeah, Dom. So today we're going to play a little clip from something that's played throughout a sports film, and we want to know the name of the film. What's the name of the film that features this sound?
Okay.
I don't want to give any more details away. After a couple callers, I might. But, Dom, we just want to know, what sports film does this come from? Take a listen.
All right.
Pretty short.
Pretty short.
But significant.
If you're a fan of this film, one of the top 10 sports films, I'd say, of all time, you should be able to get that quickly and head off to a very Philly Christmas. I
feel like we should use it just in the regular program to add epicness.
I get too emotional thinking about the film. 855-839-1210, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. All you have to do is just push pound 1210, and you're on Talk Radio 1210. Yes, every day at around 2:13 or so, Dan comes up with something connected, usually to the side question today, sports film lines. We want to identify the film. Give us the clue. All right, hit us. Where is that music from? Jason in Philly's in on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Jason, theme music from what film?
That would be Remember the Titans.
Yes, yes. Do you have I'll give you a twofer here. Do you have a favorite line from Remember the Titans?
I don't want to see them gain another yard.
Yes, I'll take every one of you out. I swear by God. I'll go to the papers. Yeah.
When Bertier knocks the guy down and points at the coach, I love it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling it right here, too.
Do it, Dom. You got to do it. What's the
Of
line?
course, Denzel Washington. Game ball. Ronnie Bass.
It's a great impression there you got. Top 10. One of your impressions? Top 10. Gotta say. Yeah.
Yeah.
You doing Denzel?
That's how low
Game
we've
time.
sunk.
Ronnie Bass.
Who's your top impression, Dan?
It's just when they first get the kid from California.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all just yelling sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
For
yeah,
some
yeah,
reason
yeah,
that took
yeah.
off, and
Yeah,
I use that often in life.
Oh, yes. That's perfect.
Sunshine.
All right. I didn't think anybody would get that quickly. It tells you how popular. I was a little bit off with that. All right. So the side question, that sports quote is what we're looking for. This woman, Lydia Polgreen, says she's writing in the New York Times about kids, and, life is about regrets. If they do something trans-oriented, some kind of puberty block or other changes, that's okay. She says, when I was in 6th grade, I made a decision that changed the course of my life. I decided not to try out for the middle school swim team. I know that may not sound like a big deal, but it was. As a grade schooler, I was a standout swimmer, strong shoulders and back, well-muscled legs, powered me through the water. I was disciplined, obsessive. My coach saw potential. I made that decision. Dan, New York Times, big controversy, printing a woman encouraging parents and kids to experiment with puberty blockers or more, just like she gave up competitive swimming. This is what they're reduced to. It's almost a punchline that you can't even imagine the insanity of this with the dangers that are involved and how many want to detransition, but you're only going to come back to a certain level given how life-changing these operations and or even the puberty blockers are.
I can't tell you how happy I am that I didn't make any lifetime decisions when I was 15 because I was an idiot. I was a moron.
But there's some of them are making it 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave up swimming. Get those blockers.
Yeah. I still have both my ears pierced.
Yeah. I happen to see the guy, and he might be on Reading, Writing, and Reason this week, that I had a parent on today whose daughter did something and they're having trouble coming back from it, responding to this whole nonsense.
Yeah.
And we've seen some that have gone full bore and how difficult it is to, or impossible to recover from this. All right. I mentioned Lisa Dealey. She's the head of the vote in Philadelphia, reputed to be probably more corrupt than even Venezuela when it comes to vote. I don't know if she's as corrupt as Putin. That'd be pretty hard to say. Philadelphia, get out there. Show us you're more corrupt than Putin.
Get him out. Get him out of here.
She's the head of the Philadelphia City Commissioners. And she reacted, and the Inquirer, boy, it's gone to town with this, because President Trump said over the weekend he urged followers to go into cities like Philly to guard the vote. Now, it's fine, Dan, for Trump to say, I'm not objecting to that. Here's the thing. Trump's got to drill down, or his organization, if he actually wants to guard the vote. That means you need to have a person there. I think it's about 40-45%, sometimes maybe even more, of voting precincts, voting blocks in Philadelphia where there's no minority vote represented. By minority, I mean the Republican Party. So you got to get people there to monitor the vote. That takes organization like Scott Presler. That's what you need. Now, that person going into some neighborhoods to monitor vote in a place like Philadelphia, you also probably need a lawyer to get him sitting down. And I would advise a couple of guys with no necks So if you want to win, you can't just blurt out, go to Philadelphia, guard the vote. All that's going to do is give Krasner the chance to say, I'll lock you up. Now, I think if you're a citizen in Pennsylvania, you ought to be able to go to any polling place and get the credential to be a watcher on election day, right? No, you can't. That's the other thing. We ought to change that law. So I predict in 2024, as things stand now, there'll be 30 to 40% of the voting polling place that will not have a Republican representative there. I mean, stop talking about it. It takes organization, it takes money, and it takes guys with no necks that are going to say, no, you're not driving us out. Now, I've been through this with various people. Scott Presler is the model on this, though. And the Republican Party should just bring him in, work with him, give resources, and some others like him. And we're going to see a difference here. The abortion issue even can be overcome if the mail-in ballot, the infrastructure issue, is correct. So Lisa Dealey, who chairs this, says the 2020 results were completely fair and accurate, and we will continue to deliver that in 2024. I can only assume it is to try and sow doubt about the validity of the election results. Well, Dealey is the one, according to the Inquirer and other sources, who was kicked out of being a notary public because of an incident I've talked about for life. I believe that still stands. She came on the show once, Dan. I think nice work by you, and never again, though, after that one type of thing. And I would say the former president is starting the call outs of his playbook a little early this time, she said. Now, she's the one who maintained that the Zuckerberg early voting things needed no watchers there. They weren't polling places. What the heck were they then? Remember the $11 million spent by Zuckerberg here in Philadelphia? Yeah. She's the one who wants to have even more drop boxes. And Lisa, you're the one that lost your notary public. Why? Why should someone with that kind of background be in charge with something? If you want to restore confidence, you'd be as transparent as possible. They had plenty of money. They could have put the people counting the vote inside plexiglass, massive plexiglass, and then people could have observed them at the convention center. Why not do that? Because we don't want to do it. Okay, well, then we're going to see this continuing battle. That's what it comes down to. Do you want to be transparent? Do you want to put some of this to rest? Look, some of it is crazy talk. Some of it are legitimate concerns about the counting of votes. It's just that simple. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. AT&T and Verizon Wireless, you just push pound 1210. Let me go to Robert in Bensalem. Hey, Robert, good afternoon.
Hi, Dom, Dan. It's good to talk to you guys. I first wanted to say that we will all be voting for Houck in the primary. And I got to tell you, Dom, if Fitzpatrick is a nominee, I don't know if I'm going to be able to not leave that space blank when I go to vote.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that. I mean, look, we love your thought process, but I just always think you vote for, want to call it the lesser of two evils or the better of two situations, you know.
I know, but it's personally he personally irritates me, and maybe I should just work on that. But
I believe in that. Because the irritation is often based upon something big. It's not just personal spite, you know.
One more thing before I give my answer. My older daughter sent the clip of my phone call with you and Dan 2 times ago. Where you guys were wishing her well, and I can't tell you how happy that made her. I mean,
that was
tremendous.
That makes our day. That makes our day. Well, maybe I don't know how we would reach an aircraft carrier out there, Dan, in the middle of nowhere, but I'm glad to hear that.
Well, her spirits are really good. My older daughter just talked to her. She's in a good mood. She's actually joking about the people that they're dealing with over there. And when she found out what was done on October 7th, you'll probably never find a more committed person in that fleet who wants to get rid of Hamas. And I'll leave that at that. But my answer to the side question was, if you ain't first, you're last.
You're first, you're last.
You guys have a great
Thank
day.
you, Robert. Leo DeRocher used to say that more colorfully, too. Yeah. All right. Hit us with that. The Earl of Tacony sitting in as a judge today. He can enter two in a side column, I guess,
Ooh,
right?
okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get his.
answer,
He's
yeah.
in studio here, getting ready for the Dom Giordano, Dan, and mainly Earl Christmas album. Remember, if it sells big, we had everything to do with it. If it doesn't,
Don't know
well,
if
I
we're
don't know
gonna
what
put it up
happened.
for sale. But...
I never got to it, but coming up, I'll give you the excerpt that those on the left and liberals and others are putting out. I think Liz Cheney's opus is out tomorrow, her book. This is one with her father involved. And given the father's checkered past, it's kind of interesting what he told her as she was heading to be on the January 6th committee about this country in the driveway of their house. I'll give it to you coming up and your calls. You know, the winter months are rolling in. Excited to talk about Rescue Natural Supplements Deck the Hall sale. We're talking up to a whopping 78% off on all products, including essential omega-3s, cholesterol support, natural pain relief, and much more. And get this, the savings last the entire month. And did I mention that Rescue is offering 15 special health-boosting products at under $20? Now, to get all this to order, just call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com, res-q.com. You can fortify your immune system, boost energy levels, and support overall well-being with Rescue selection of over 50 high-quality natural supplements. There's no code needed to save up to 78% site-wide. So stay healthy this holiday season by shopping at res-q.com. Do it today. All right, side question here. Coming off Rocky Day, Eagles game. Hit us with that all-time quote from a sports film, a film that primarily is about sports. I mentioned Liz Cheney. I think the book is out tomorrow, or it's out soon. Yeah, tomorrow. Oath and Honor describes sitting in her father's study on New Year's Eve on the phone with former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld and his daughter Marcy to secure his signature for a letter pushing back on President Trump, the whole deal of former secretaries of defense. I like Donald Rumsfeld. We did 2 events with him, a lot. Quite a character. It was unbelievable. One at the Valley Forge.
Didn't you work out with him one time?
No, that's General Petraeus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Rumsfeld, 2 times at the Valley Forge Military Academy. What a sight. They actually had a parade for him of hundreds of the cadets there. Yeah, we did a lunch eating on the air broadcast with him. So she writes, when my dad finished reading, he paused. Rumsfeld said he would sign on. Then Marcy spoke up, her voice breaking with emotion. Thank God someone is finally doing something. The next day, Phil, the kids, and I went to my parents' home for a New Year's Day lunch. As we were leaving, my father came outside to the driveway. Here's
Why
the
she
big
write
drama.
like a 10-year-old, first of all?
I know. Here's the big moment in the driveway. He walked around to the passenger side of my car and gave me a hug. Then he looked at me and with steel in his voice said, "Defend the Republic, daughter." Oh, my God. Now, here's a guy in Dick Cheney who has been savaged by the left over the years. You know, the architect behind Bush, the big company, the worldwide company made all of his money, mocking him because of the hard operations and the trouble he had, etc. But this is Save the Republic, daughter. Did he really say that, even Dick Cheney? It seems a little bit like that dialogue is a little bit off there.
Save the world, daughter.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got the accent a little bit. And she went off really to get Donald Trump and put any number of people who really don't deserve the harsh treatment they get vis-a-vis January 6th in jail for that period of time. But Save the Republic, daughter.
Batman origin story here.
Yes, that's exactly what it was like. So stunning. Look, the Cheneys believe tremendously. Dick Cheney was always an interventionist. Trump, they hate it. So she, Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney might be more of a war interventionist, unending wars, I would say, than Nikki Haley. And I've interviewed both of them extensively. The mom, I was in her cavalcade, her parade there, Dan, going out to a book signing. And they said, if any shooting starts, just keep driving. You know, the Secret Service protection. So I like the mother a lot, historian, but the Cheneys are about the Republican position in the past. Let's get involved in all these. We're the policemen of the world. And Trump coming along, upsetting that, I still maintain, is arguably the biggest thing that Trump has done. It's so unusual. You may remember when it happened in the 2016 race, what Trump was saying versus the other Republicans, vis-a-vis intervention in Iraq, etc. The Cheneys are even more than Nikki Haley, possibly, or it's a tie. That's where we are. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210. All right, at least they say the Republic. I'll give the Cheneys that. You know, they're not saying democracy. Here's Reince Priebus, former Trump chief of staff, former head of the RNC, Dan. He was on with Stephanopoulos. This is cut 7. Listen to what he says about the Cheneys' contention and Marcy, the daughter, emoting. If democracy is on the ballot, they're saying 2 things. Democracy on the ballot, meaning Trump will take away democracy, and abortion on the ballot, Taylor Swift edition. Here's what Reince Priebus said to Stephanopoulos. If that were true, then why are they putting Biden as the nominee?
One gift that Donald Trump seems to have given the Biden team, Reince Priebus, is this call to repeal Obamacare.
Well, I mean, we talked about that in 2016. He won in 2016. You know, I just don't buy this democracy on the ballot and all of this nonsense about Trump when the Democrats are sitting there with a candidate that hasn't
Nonsense
been.
about Trump? What's the nonsense?
Well, no, I mean about how democracy is on the ballot. If democracy was on the ballot, the Democrats wouldn't be sitting there with a candidate that has the worst numbers since they've been taking polling. And worse yet, people will say, well, this has happened before. Barack Obama had bad polling. Trump had bad polling. But Democrats loved Obama, but 95%. Same with Trump. He is in the tank with Democrats. Now, how they can claim on one hand democracy is on the ballot and sit there with an historically weak candidate is unbelievable, and I don't buy it.
That is a great point. If it's that dire, then why are you allowing Biden in Florida? They've stopped the primary, essentially. They're just saying to the guy running it, Phillips, we're not holding a primary here. You can try to put your name in, whatever. We're not doing it. Why are they not having all-out primaries then? Why is no one allowed to run against him? If it's that dire, would you not want a better candidate? It's a roundabout way in that question. It makes a heck of a lot of sense. So they really don't believe. Now, some of them, sadly, really do believe this, that it's all over if Trump gets a second term. That's the end of the republic. Save the republic, daughter. Oh, man. Can you imagine the husband having to sit there? He's behind the wheel and Dick Cheney's on the other side saying, save the republic. Now get her out of here like he's a driver, just. And Liz Cheney maybe can't help it. Her resting face is this sourpuss face all the
I noticed
time.
that too.
She's always got, how does a person get, maybe, Dan, it's nothing you can control, and it's not even your inner.
I think there are people like that, and I think most
Yeah.
of them work in libraries because
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times you walk into a library and there's someone
Yeah.
scowling at you that's just their resting face. And I
Yeah.
think Liz Cheney has that.
So you
Definitely.
think it is a determinant of her misery, not just a quirk.
I think it's just how she looks.
Well, then there's nothing you can do about it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just
but,
unfortunate.
yeah, exactly.
When she's just sitting, neutral, and
Yeah,
she
it's
looks
just,
angry.
it's stunning. I didn't have her in person, so I don't remember. The mom is not like that at all, though. So imagine, Dan, I'm in a Ford Focus in the mom's motorcade, headed out to Devon for a book signing after the interview. And they're saying, just keep up with us. If anything happens, go there. All right, 855-839-1210. White House saying one update, no surprise. Hamas is refusing to release civilian women. I think that's good. Yeah. Coming up, it's the lightning round. And whatever happened to that guy, 22-year-old, I guess, or so he was, who punched Bob Kelly down at the shore just for no reason? I'll tell you what's happening there in Seattle. And Bob Kelly is handling this absolutely correctly. Who would want to bother a guy like Bob Kelly? There's no more friendly media personality that I've ever met in Philadelphia. All right, so 855-839-1210. That's right. Today, coming off Rocky Day in Philadelphia, hit us with that all-time great line or quote. You can paraphrase it from a sports film. Let's go to David in Somerset. David's on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, David, what do you have?
Hey, David, what do you have? Hey, Dom, from Miracle about the 1980 hockey team. And he says, you were born to be hockey players, every one of you, and you were meant to be here tonight. This is your time.
Now go and get those. I like Ed Snyder's maybe better, Dan. I don't care what you have to do to beat the Russians. You got my words. My God, what the Flyers did here in Philadelphia playing the Russian national team. That's a good one. Dan in Franconia. What's yours, Dan? Yo, Dan. Don, I'm sorry. Don. Tom in Rosemont. I'm sure it's a soccer quote from Tom. Tom, what's yours?
All right, I will keep this clean for FCC regulations. 7th grader Tanner Boyle of the Chico's bail bonds Bears in response to losing the championship. Hey, Yankees, you can take your apology and your trophy and shove it.
Oh, boy. Oh, classic. He's going classic with this. And Bruce in the Northeast. Hey, Bruce, good Monday.
Hey, Don. Hey, good stuff from Earl today, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He's sitting right here. He's, trying to butter up the judges. The check will be in the mail here.
That's right. It always helps, right?
Yes.
To quote the late, great Lou Gehrig from the Pride of the Yankees, the movie, I don't have a echo chamber, but it went something like this. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
That's a great answer.
That is no better guy than Lou Gehrig. Can you imagine, the guy Milkshake? I think he lived with his mom, Dan, luckiest man in the world, and Babe Ruth. They had to pump his stomach after 14 hot dogs. You think 10 would be enough? I think I'll hit another 2 home. I think he came back and hit 2 home runs in the second half of the doubleheader. All right, let's see. Paul.
Daughter, save the world.
Keep that drop. Paul in Westchester. Hey, Paul, what do you have today?
Hey, before I get, but again, thanks for taking my call and happy belated birthday, Dan.
Thank
and then
you.
Also, last week's contest, I felt as though I should cause an insurrection because I was robbed with that dairy when I gave Donovan McNabb. And since that's the case, going back, I would say Steve Keeley, original, but that toupee is not original. Man, for Dave's question,
God.
It's real. I swear, Paul, it's
He
real.
wouldn't have a toupee with hair like that. Come on now. I get the same
it don't
questions
have
all
no
the time.
gray. You can't tell me that's his real hair. That is not his
Well,
hair.
there's coloring. Yeah, I advocate for that. Not that I do it, but I like the color. But go ahead, Paul. Who do you have?
with that.
All right,
Yeah.
well, and then also before, your guest who was on there who doing the knock on the doors, does he also know that his GOP speakership think of him as an abomination? Ain't he in the log cabin, the Republican log cabin house or something to that nature?
Let Scott answer for himself, but give me your answer here,
Okay.
Paul.
All right, then my answer, thanks again, Don, is Will Smith, Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly, sing like a bee.
All right, that's classic line. Will Smith is great in that. Chuck in Newtown Square. Hey, Chuck, what's yours?
Hey, great day to you, gentlemen. Hey, do you have a quick second for a Tom Jones thing that he did long ago?
Sure.
Or should I just get to the quote? All right, real fast on Tom Jones. Back in 1968, a man wrote a song for him specifically. He listened to it. He turned it down. So the guy who wrote the song said, I'll have to do it myself. And that song turned out to be The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles. He didn't want to do it. He did do it later on, but he turned that down. It was written specifically for him by Paul McCartney. Now, my sports quote is from the most emotional sports movie of all time. I would say when he goes to the podium, there's not a dry eye in the house, and he walks up and he says, tonight I want you all to know that I love Brian Piccolo. And when you folks go home tonight, I would appreciate it if you would all love him too.
Beautifully put, Dan. Back then you didn't see that kind of bond between men easily portrayed. Billy D. Williams, the great Gale Sayers, who I think is in the top 5 running backs of all time. He got hurt and only played 6 years or something, but
Some bro love.
yes.
You see a lot of it now with the Phillies and all.
Yeah,
but back
it's
then it
easier.
wasn't.
Back
it wasn't
then,
common,
yeah. And that is an emotional moment. Don in Franconia pops in. What's yours, Don?
Yes, let's go with
You had me at hello from Jerry Maguire.
All right. I don't think that's the money line in there. I think it is show me the money, but okay. And Vinny in Atco. Vinny, what do you have?
What's up, guys? I'm just thinking about Karate Kid when Daniel LaRusso was ready to get his ass handed to him, and then Johnny came up and his buddies were yelling in the background, "Put him in a body bag!" Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny. Earl, what would be yours? We have a brief period of time, then we got to get your judgment here along with Dan.
Ooh.
Pass Eddie, you shoot a great game of pool. So do you, fat man. So do you. All right, Dan.
I love it.
Similar, the pool.
One thing that I expected to hear today that would have won the day, win one for the Gipper.
Ah, yes.
You think about how deep the depth of
how
that.
far that goes.
Yeah,
The Reagan president, yeah.
on Twitter, it was said. One that really spurred a conversation for us. There's no crying in baseball from the mouth of Tom Hanks, which spurned a Twitter poll, Dom, and it's 75-25. Jack Nicholson wins over
Never
Tom Hanks.
doubt us on that. I thought it was only going to be 65, but I knew this audience was going to say Nicholson.
Robert in Ben Salem. I love the Will Ferrell
Right.
drop. If you ain't first, you're last. Luckiest man on the face of the earth, and Will Smith, both playing
Right.
Ali, saying real life quotes in their films. You had me at hello and Jerry Maguire, but not even the best from the film or the bro love. Tonight, I want you all to know that I love Brian Piccolo
You
from
like
Chuck and
that?
Town.
Yeah.
Best one I think is Marion and Delco with There's No Crying in Baseball because it spurned a Twitter poll.
Okay.
And all.
All right. What do you say, Earl?
I would have to say no crying in baseball. That was the first thing that came to my mind when you said,
Okay.
What is a quote from a sports?
All right. 2 judges to nothing here. How can I have to be in the tank here? There has to be some payout. No, we're not going to do it. It's no crying in baseball. That's the winner to kick off the week. By the way, Patrick Ione is the guy who told a judge Monday, Dan, according to the Inquirer, he had no idea who Bob Kelly is when he went into the Orr House pub in Seattle on July 30th. Already had a lot to drink, punched the traffic reporter in the face. Now he knows. He pleaded guilty on Monday to third-degree assault. The result in part of Bob Kelly objecting to his application for a pretrial intervention, a diversionary program that would allow him to avoid prosecution altogether. Now, it seems to be unclear whether he'll get jail time or not. But imagine just walking in. Bob Kelly's doing an event there. I don't know if he's DJing, something related. And this guy just punches him. Just the shock of it, the whole thing. And people in his family were in law enforcement there in Seattle. No, this guy deserves to learn a lesson from this. And I'm glad Bob Kelly's not speaking a lot about it. He's doing all the right things, though, legally. And you know what he's doing? He's not just protecting himself. He's protecting all of us. That this guy doesn't just walk up and smack somebody else as he did. It's almost Bob Kelly of all people, you know.
Right? Like
certain
Bob Kelly.
Certain big mouth talk show host, that's one thing.
Like
But Bob
I
Kelly,
hate to say, but like it might make sense if
Yeah,
one of us were punched. But Bob Kelly.
that's right. If you see Dan out there, what are you
yeah.
going to do? You
I
make
say
a
some
judgment.
controversial things from time to
All
time. It
right.
makes sense.
We are off tomorrow to noon to 3. Rich Zioli will be next. And meanwhile, Dan and Earl of Taccone will be cooking up with the Tackonettes, their Christmas
I like
album.
that, the Tackonettes.
The Tackonettes. It's
Ah.
like Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier, Smoking Joe Frazier. There's great lines with Frazier. All right, Rich is next. 4 big hours. Follow on Twitter. Thanks for recognizing that there's no doubt that Jack Nicholson is superior to Tom Hanks. Might try Denzel.
crying in baseball.
Might try Denzel Washington against him tomorrow. Let's see who wins on that one.
Ooh, you
All
can't
right.
deliver a line like that, Jack. Come on. Come on.
There you go. All right, Zioli Show next here. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.